explore. Imperfect visions like I've been here before. Falling faster, I try to ignore. I see you, I see you. I'll let you drag me to hell if you hold my hand. Tell me this is real and it will never end. This is not what I came here to find. Memories show that I'm out of time. See a shadow, don't know if it's mine, but I see you, I see you, I see you, I see you. I'll let you drag me to hell if you hold my hand. Tell me this is real and it will never end. Way too many faces in the crowd, but I think that I see you. One too many days got me changing up the way that I need you. Now we're both at a bar, acting like it's not hard, trying to feel something different. Talk to somebody new, kinda wish it was you, kinda numb to the feeling. Now that you're gone, they say time should heal, but it's been too long. Couple months and I can't seem to move on. I can't seem to move on. I can't seem to. I can't seem to. Not that you're gone, I can't seem to. I can't seem to. Laying on my floor, thinking about all the things that we've been through. From 24/7 to pretending like I never met you. No, it's all for the best, cause I know we're a mess every time we're together. Going out of my mind, and I wish I could lie, tell you that it gets better. Now that you're gone, they say time should heal, but it's been too long. Couple months where I can't seem to move on. I can't seem to move on. I can't seem to. I can't seem myself. I'm cold, steel stainless. My glass half full. Always said don't suffer no fools. Serpent, daydream. I bite, you call me lovely. Got a sweet tooth. I'm gonna get the sugar from you. When they say I'm a machine gun, I take it as a compliment. Honey, you should know I can be a weapon. I can be a weapon. Come cold blood, selfish. Your words are painless. I like when I drive and feel so dangerous. They say I'm a red flag, 'cause they want it so bad. You should know I'm holding on to what I have. When they say I'm a machine gun, I take it as a compliment. Honey, you should know I can be a weapon. I can be a weapon.
I wish we stayed the same. I got way too many thoughts in my brain. But I got memories that run through my veins. I'm not one to blame, but I could point out every way that you changed. Some things stay up while others go right down the drain. And lately we've been going down in flames. But if I'm honest, I get in my feels when I want you. Say you feel it too, I'll haunt you. Hold on till I'm lost in nirvana. But if I'm honest, I get in my feels when I want you. Say you feel it too, I'll haunt you. Hold on till I'm lost in nirvana. But if I'm my therapist is saying that I should. I don't believe her, but I really wish I could. Instead, I guess I'll stay misunderstood. Oh, 'cause I'm stuck now, just trying to figure a way out. I've tried but can't seem to slow down. I don't know if I want to. But if I'm honest, I get in my feels when I want you. Say you feel it too, I'll haunt you. Hold on till I'm lost in nirvana. But if I'm honest, I get in my feels when I want you. Say you feel it too, But if I'm cause I'm stuck now, just trying to figure a way out of try but can't seem to slow down. I don't know if I want to.
Off season, the semester, we are already 2+ months into things. It has been a wild ride so far. I am Jobin, joined again by Ray, and we're going to have some heavy hitters facing off in our first matchup tonight, taking things right to the top of the table, right to Division 1, and we're going to have Cumberland and Texas A&M Maroon squaring off to get us going.
Yeah, this should be a good match for you guys. Both currently ranked in the committee for Overwatch. Cumberland sitting at number 9 right now, and Texas A&M Maroon sitting at number 15. So for A&M Maroon, a lot to prove this season. They've had a lot of throughout all the different leagues and stuff. They've had some really impressive results and then some perplexing results. So they've been a little inconsistent, but I can't wait to see if they're going to be able to punch up to the likes of Cumberland in this matchup.
I literally wrote in my notes, TAMU played really well against a lot of mid-pack teams and 2 extremely head-scratching losses, which is exactly what you were talking about, where they just lose to teams where you look at their records at the end of the season, losing to some of the West Coast teams that finished 2-5. I believe 1-6 was one of the other squads. So it's a team that, like you said, they played down to the competition, but they also played up to it in some respects. So there's going to be a lot of unknowns coming into that. And obviously, Cumberland on the other side, no need to even say anything extra about them. Everybody knows that they've been a powerhouse as a program. They've got recognizable players all across the server, and they are definitely going to bring their A game tonight.
I'm excited to see how these teams are going to face off and what kind of combos we're going to see out of these teams. And we kind of know we've seen we've casted 2 Cumberland games this season so far, so I think we kind of have a general idea what they like to play. So it's going to be nice to highlight Texas A&M Maroon. Haven't been able to get them on the stream yet, so can't wait to see what kind of comps we see out of them. As we do know what the first map pick is going to be, Cumberland had that pick being the higher seed, and we will be going to Samoa for map number 1.
Yeah, and it was Samoa, and then obviously Venture is going to be the band that Cumberland decided to go for. So DPS that we've been seeing obviously get picked up a ton recently. She's in a very, very strong place. Feels like the entire roster sort of in that way, and definitely should be fun going to Samoa map 1. Good to mix things up. Nice to see some of these newer maps that get put into the fold. Obviously not necessarily that new at this point, but we are going to see the Zarya actually getting banned away for Texas A&M as well. And it's a Zarya. You can ban it in any single game and make a case for it.
Which I do find that extremely interesting, given one of the tanks that we know Ginger Refill likes to play is the Junker Queen, and Zarya matches up pretty well into that. So that's more of the hero I'd expect them to play coming into this, but to get rid of Zarya out the gate like that, it's a little surprising. So I'm curious to see where A&M Maroon's going to go with this.
And I think especially early in the series, Texas A&M, not that those are the few, I guess, weird losses they took earlier in the year mean that, they're going to play bad against some of the better teams. But if they get off to an 0-1, 0-2 start against a team like Cumberland, they're going to log in, see map 3 queued up, and they're going to realize that they are really, really up against it. So you got to make sure, even if you don't win map 1, be competitive, find some bright spots, identify some things that seem to be working, and then hopefully you can progress that throughout the rest.
Alright, as you can see, loading up, we will be starting on Volcano, which tends to be a much more brawl-oriented style map, a lot more close quarters. We do see Cumberland loading up on that Junker Queen. No surprises here. That is Ginger Refills, one of their signature heroes that we've seen them play time and time again. Cabe currently going on the Cassidy, who we had a new patch come out this week, and Cassidy got added like an extra half a second to the hinder on that stun grenade on the flashbang. So it was a huge change, so it makes Cassie that much more potent, especially in the brawl. Curious to see that they're going with a Brig Juno for their setup with this Junker Queen. No Lucio speed boost, so they're going to substitute that with the Juno.
Yeah, and just speaking about the Cassidy as well, it feels like that hero already in a fantastic spot. I've been seeing, especially in collegiate, some of these players have been picking it up maybe the last month or two, and we've been seeing some insane plays. And I know Cabe, even going back to their time at Fisher, definitely loves to play the Cassidy, finds a lot of success on it. We are going to see Ginger picking up the first kill of the fight. That is the Sojourn down for Texas A&M, and in all likelihood, Cumberland will get the capture.
One surprising thing coming out from Nodi, who's been so good on like Tracer Genji, is seeing the Echo come out. I mean, Echo did get a change to how the directional works on like when you're flying in the air, but I didn't think it was going to be big enough to where we start seeing people pick it up. So I want to see how this develops.
Yeah, it might just be one of those, hey, we think it's in a better spot than it is. You get a nice little adjustment, nice little buff. We're going to try it out for the first map, the first few lives. Then maybe if things don't work out, you go for the swap. But luckily, the rest of the team playing very well around the tank and everybody else so far. Cumberland, I don't even think they've lost anybody to get going. Finally, though, that Echo will get targeted out by Fern, eventually taken down, and now Texas A&M to see if they can make any extra progress off the first kill, but it looks like not for the moment.
Yeah, but we see a 2-for-2 trade, so it's a 3v2 fight in here of A&M Maroon so far. So Cumberland's going to look to fall back and play a little bit safe, but they still have Ginger refill on this Junker Queen, who has not been taken down yet, and Fern is getting low.
Yeah, that extra little bit of sustain from the Queen, and then now the Orbital Ray just long enough. Cumberland able to stall out the fight. You get that support ultimate. That is going to be a full reset for them. And now everybody but Nodi is going to have that ultimate online as well. So Texas A&M, yeah, I think it's going to be send Bob, pop the window, and see if they can find anything. They're instantly going to get the shutdown on the Virtual. We do see Ginger trying to go for the Rampage. Not able to find it. Doesn't actually go for the ultimate. And Freedom kills everybody.
I think all things considered for Cumberland, given you popped your Ray there basically to buy space and time for the players to get back, you got them to return with 2 ultimates of their own, and you still got, roughly 70% of that point, so I think you're feeling good. But Maroon, you're going to have just an extra ultimate coming into this fight, especially since they have no support ultimates for Cumberland. I think Sunflush here on this Genji should be able to go crazy with Blade.
Oh yeah, Beat Blade Annihilation is a deadly trio of ultimates to have ready at the full, but the Deadeye is extremely good for zoning everybody off the point. Cabe at least going to keep the side of Texas A&M back for the moment. This Ramatra's in a bit of a rough spot. The Annihilation will need to be used early on. It's going to see how much bleed damage Ginger can actually proc. The Rampage also ready to go, so the second this Annihilation runs down, it's going to be time to go. Rampage followed up by the beat drop out of A&M, and now the Dragon Blade out of Sunless, and they're able to cut down every single player from Cumberland. But Cumberland's still around for the fight. This Queen not yet dead, and Texas A&M, after a bloodbath, walk out the winners.
Yeah, 2 picks you did get for Ginger, so you're gonna have to play a little bit further back if you're Maroon. I think they're sending Squid to go back and taxi your BAP and your Ash back, because you're not going to be able to play up aggressively at all without them. And as we did notice, we did see Nodi did end up making the swap over to that Genji. They're going to have the Blade for this next fight and no supportive ultimates whatsoever to deal with this Blade.
That's what I did like from Nodi, though. You played the Echo 2 to 3 lives, realized, hey, this isn't the game for it, instantly get off of that. Now you can pop onto the Genji, and you've got ult game-winning potential possibly loaded up and queued up. Not when you're getting shut down by the opposing Genji, though. That is a massive pick for Texas A&M. And now Cumberland missing one of their DPS, but luckily the tank is running everybody down on point. And now Cabe finally able to find the exchange, and in the nick of time, Cumberland saving the round.
I think, again, that was just Cumberland who plays so aggressively with Ginger Refill on the Junker Queen. They just go forward, look for someone who's vulnerable, and they're willing to take those life exchanges as long as it's a valuable exchange that they find it time and time again. There's that high noon.
Yeah, only 15 seconds left for Cumberland to try to stall out, and now Fern getting shut down, so even though Bob may get thrown into the fray here, there's no front line for Texas A&M, and they're going to have to fight through an Orbital Ray, more than likely the Rampage, and the win button, and that's if they can even get to the point. It looks like Virtual, maybe enough to find the last few kills there. They are able to. Bob is going to be able to stall the point out for a brief moment, but Texas A&M, this is your last chance.
Yeah, and they're just not going to be able to get a touch. Cumberland clutches up with their ultimates in the 9th hour to take point number 1, 199. So a valiant effort coming in from Texas A&M Maroon. I just liked how they were playing their positions and their ultimates. Like being able to pop that window they put it far enough ahead to basically allow their team to get enough space on the point, but still make it valuable for the Baptiste and the rest of the team to be able to shoot through. And they just took full advantage of that time and time again, and they had great ult rotations. And that's kind of how you have to play this game when you're trying to punch up against Cumberland. You can't make a lot of mistakes. I think this was a good showing for that first sub map for Texas A&M Maroon.
Yeah, I mean, they got it all the way up to 96 before they lost the penultimate team fight, so they were right there in the mix. I mean, obviously, they had the lead toward the end of the round, so a lot of positives to take away early on from Texas A&M. Definitely shows you that they are here to fight early in the series, which I think is basically what is required of them to have a competitive series here today, but now your Ashe is going to get caught up. That's an early lamp getting burned out, but we are going to see if Ginger actually does get taken down. Fern swinging away on the Queen, able to draw first blood in this fight. In Cumberland, without your tank, you will have to fall back.
Maroon coming out of the gate showing like, hey, you may have gotten the better of us on that last sub map, but it was extremely close. They take the aggression this time. That was the one thing I was talking about with Cumberland, was they had no problems looking to get aggressive, and I feel like Maroon, you gotta do the same thing, especially with Sunless Fiber on the Genji and Fern, who can get in your face and really put down a lot of damage. And it buys space for Freedom too on this Ashe taking all that space.
Yeah, and a game that's relying on ultimate cycling, finding picks at the right time, just knowing when and where to pull that trigger, send it as a 5-man stack, and send everything you have at the other team to find what you're looking for. With Texas A&M, they do draw first blood yet again. Nodi getting taken down by, I believe, Freedom there a few seconds ago, and then another headshot onto the front line, and this Ashe doing a lot of work since Freedom has picked it up early in the last round, but now Cabe dealing the damage back out the other way, is able to scoot away, and now the Deadeye going to get activated. It is going to zone away the rest of Texas A&M, but they have not given up on the fight. In fact, Fern just about built up to the annihilation, and courtesy of Jumba's window, they find a few more.
Again, I can't continue to not talk about the positions that A&M Maroon are playing. Just playing that small little high ground just outside the point is forcing Cumberland to have to path that way, because they cannot allow Freedom and Junba to sit up there and just take angles. So they're forced to go up there and waste time, and then it's allowing Texas A&M Maroon to come around and pincer them.
And Freedom just able to get a dynamite kill onto Cabe way up street. That is a massive pick early on. Don't even need to use Bob. Fern's able to just hit on that annihilation for a little bit longer. And now Cabe's going to try to go for the last second swap to go mirror mode Ashe. But I think Texas A&M, the way they have played this round and the ultis they've got online, I think they're going to handle this one pretty easily.
You're facing Bob and an annihilation. You got to hope this orbital ray goes crazy.
Yeah, Virtual going to start to send in the healing for all of the Phoenix to see if they can turn this fight in their favor, but it looks like Texas A&M maybe just going to give a little bit of space, wait for that orbital ray to wear off, and now you can send in the 6-man. Bob going to get thrown onto point. Freedom and Fern looking to fire away. The annihilation just about ready to proc there when Fern's ready, and the beat drop now going to be introduced to the fray as well. The Rampage will connect onto a few, and both teams are just refusing to say die, but Texas A&M look to be taking it in the end.
You say that, but Ginger's still alive, and you have Nodi. They have the plays, but the annihilation's online. That might be the kiss of death. Fern finds Nodi. Just got to get this Junker Queen off the server.
Yeah, Ginger being very, very annoying and buying their team a whole lot of time, but you've got to imagine at some point with the state of affairs here for Cumberland, the staggers surely will not be enough here. Yeah, everybody's just gonna one by one throw their life away at the point, and I do have to imagine that Texas A&M should be able to clean this one up soon. Window zoned them off, and finally they will close the deal with a dominant round 2.
And that was a lot of swaps we saw coming out from both teams. We did see Freedom eventually get off that Ashe, go over to the Tracer, but I think it was due to Nodi and Cabe going to Sombra Tracer, basically like giving them mobility and abilities to more easily get up to that high ground and go affect what Freedom's trying to do and flank them. So Freedom's like, I can't be on this Ashe anymore. These two are going to eat me alive. So they went to the Tracer. So I think it's going to open up interesting possibilities for this final sub-map, but that was a dominating effort from Texas A&M Maroon. Hey, you steal away map number 1, start getting momentum in your favor. As I talked about, I want to see A&M Maroon being able to punch up like this.
Well, looking at the scoreboard like we just got tabbed in there, Freedom is the hottest player in the server. 22 kills, 4 deaths on the Ashe. 12k damage, which was almost double. Both of the Phoenix players were at like 6 to 7k each, and the Ashe alone was sitting at about 12.5k, and that's playing into the Queen, not something like the Orisa. So the damage dealers of Texas A&M, they have been unleashed in the last round and a half, and they are definitely ready to fight Cumberland tooth and nail for this last round.
You know, Ginger and Fern fighting each other on this point. See what they can do.
Yeah, Ginger trying to tuck away in the corner. We'll get a nice little burst of healing there. Both teams not willing to throw any lives away at this point. Now it's real deal when you get to round 3 of control for all the marbles. Neither one of these teams wanting to draw first blood, but Cabe getting popped. The lamp getting timed out with the grenade and the double kill with the flashbang, and that is a way to open up a team fight.
Cabe said, I refuse to lose. But that was the key for Cumberland. I talked about, you know, they play with aggression, and we saw that coming out where they saw Freedom isolated with a Junba, and they go, okay, this is our chance. They use that commanding shout, got aggressive, and were able to find the kills. That's how you have to play this in your Cumberland. You cannot let Freedom have the space to just take those angles and free fire on you.
We talked about earlier with teams knowing exactly when the moment is to strike. This is our perfect time. We've got to get these kills right now. We can swing a massive fight in the last round of the map, and that was great timing and great awareness by Cumberland. And now we're going to see Texas A&M. Now they've got to try to fight through the front line. We are going to see the Annihilation a few seconds away from possibly being unleashed, and now the Lucio getting taken apart by Cabe. So the opposing capacity now starting to really take over for the side of the Phoenix, and we see some great frontline work out of Ginger right now to just keep Texas A&M at bay.
Looks like they might want to get aggressive here. I thought they might have to orbital ray there, but I think because they got Junba, they don't have to. But Nodi going down, Cumberland needs to back up. Maybe they now look to pop that because they did get Bob out. So that's one less ultimate you're going to have to deal with coming into this next big fight.
And they got Bob for nothing. Cumberland just decided we don't really need to use any ultimates. We are so far up near their spawn right now, even though they're going to have the blade and a few other tools here. We have got more than enough to handle one of these fights our way. Virtual going to go early with the orbital ray. That's going to buy Cumberland some free time on this point. They should be able to sustain themselves fairly easily. And now we're going to see Annihilation, Dragon Blade. We did see the win button from Chef for a hot second, but they got instantly deleted by the tank, and that is the only kill that A&M has found so far.
I'd say if you can get a touch, if you're A&M, you have the ability with this blade from Sunless Fiber to really make something happen. Fern's going to go over to the Doomfist. I just don't know if they have enough time to just look like Freedom on the Tracer. Oh, they get that pick, and I think, oh, they do.
Oh, Sunless able to pop a late blade and a beat, so hold on, Texas A&M. They are fighting till literally the last millisecond. The blade will expire from Sunless, and now the Genji possibly in a bit of a rough spot, but actually dealing a ton of damage onto the Queen. Hold on, folks. Texas A&M, they're able to find a kill or two here. They are making things very, very interesting. They did lose they lost both backline players in an instant. That might be the combo to seal the deal for the Phoenix.
You say that, but Ginger,
look at these
so
health
low,
bars.
can I get Ginger? Oh, he got the commanding shout just in time, and that is all she wrote. Cumberland, hard-fought map #1, but they go up 1-0 in the series.
There was like 3 players on 30 HP for Texas A&M. If they had one of those supports alive at the very end there, I think that fight might go very differently, but it is a game of inches. And Freedom hitting every single pixel on their screen that entire series. That is a worthy player to spotlight there for the play of the game. And yeah, I think it was the full ace there, the pentakill. So we basically got a glimpse of what Freedom was able to do. But Cumberland, as you said, they really, really dug in and they found some great, I mean, the Cabe flashbang comes to mind as just like the spotlight play of that game. Just a quick turning point. We get the capture. Both supports are dead. And now we've got them.
I will say, watching that map play out, it makes me think if we go to a situation, and obviously we were in a, map ban, map pick kind of, situation. I think if you are A&M Maroon, if you can get them to like a poke style map, where maybe, because Ramattra can be played in the brawl, but he can also just play from afar and poke people with the primary fire. Just put Freedom on a map where they have the space, have the high ground, like a Gibraltar or something like that. I'm not saying you necessarily play Ram there, but I just mean a map where Freedom can have all the space, a Dorado maybe. where, you know, you set yourself up, you just allow your players to make plays. I think that's going to be the environment in which A&M can pull this upset. So I think it might come down to these map picks throughout the rest of the series.
Yeah, and Fern played a fantastic Ramattra game, and I think that would combo really well with Freedom. Just get something that can very well sustain itself on the front line, and if you have an extra shield in the kit, that is fantastic, obviously, to help that Asher. Some of these other long-range damage dealers just stay a little bit safer for a little extra time, but I think definitely, and now if you're Cumberland, though, too, you know that Freedom is one of these players that, hey, if we're able to isolate them out time and time again, and we can really stunt them in games 2 and 3, maybe we can shut down a lot of what A&M was doing well, because when Freedom went unchecked there along with the rest of the team for that little stretch there, they looked unstoppable for about 5 minutes.
I would say that's the other thing. If you do take him to a map, you know, where, you know, dives better, where you can't play rush as much, not that Ginger is fantastic on many different heroes, but, you know, signature hero is that queen. So you're basically taking away a map where they can play their best hero. And I also think, you know, I think I think maps can, you know, get you away from Gibraltar. What did I tell you? Is going to be that map choice coming in from Texania and Maroon. But like the more pointers like that. So map, you can use a map to basically get yourself around the best heroes that Ginger can play. So I'd be looking to use bans to target either these supports or these DPSs. Feels like, you know, going after Cabe or Nodi might be the better way to go about this. But the only problem with that is Cabe and Nodi are extremely flexible. Like we saw Cabe on the Cassidy for most of the time on that point, but Cabe is also a fantastic flex player, can play the Tracer, can play the Sombra. Nodi obviously can play Tracer Genji. We saw the Echo at one point. So it's just a flexible front line. So maybe you have to go for the back line when it comes to these target bans. I mean, because we're going to Gibraltar. Cumberland was playing Brig Juno. Gibraltar is one of Brig's best maps. So maybe you look to go in that direction.
I think that would probably be a good idea. And even you talked about, I think, support DPS bans. DPS bans, I would put probably a little bit higher on the priority list, but you made a good point about there's 6 or 7 heroes that these guys can lock in, and you're going to get, you know, pretty similar results if they're playing up to their standard with obviously lots of experience and lots of time on a lot of heroes. But it is going to be the Kiriko for Cumberland getting banned out. So again, it's Kiriko. You don't want to play against the cleanse. You don't want to deal with that. That is fair game. And then the Tracer getting taken out. So as you said, just thinking about that Nodi and Cabe hero pool and saying, listen, what is the hero that if they really get rolling on something like the Tracer, it can feel impossible to play against.
I mean, I will say we did see, you know, Nodi, you know, it's no slouch when it comes to the Genji. Like Genji's actually one of the first heroes I think of when I think of Nodi. So I think they're gonna have no problem. It's just, you know, typically, you know, Tracer's the one you play on this map, but I think Genji is a fine substitute. Cabe is the other one you think of. Obviously, Cassidy's not going to be as potent on a map like this, but Cabe is an extremely talented hit scan player, can pull out the Widow and the Ashe. You know, even if you want Sojourn, but Widow and Ashe tend to be like what's really good on this map, and Cabe can match Freedom on that if needed. So I think despite the bans, I think Phoenix is going to be well equipped to handle this. So let's see. I just want to see this play out because, like I said, this is more of the environment, the setup, where based on what we saw from Maroon, I think they have a chance at winning this map because it's just the best scenario for them to be in right now.
Yeah, and I'll be excited to see this tank duel as well. I want to see exactly where both players are going to decide to land on the coin here and see exactly who they want to square off with on the front line. Obviously, see some ball on here, see a lot of Winston. And obviously, we saw a whole lot of brawling on the last map. So where exactly is Texas A&M's head at? It is going to be to the Winston. Or, yeah, Winston D.Va. Same idea there, obviously. So not too surprising unless Fern does decide to swap back at some point. Jumba's going to scoop up the Ana. Squid is just going to stay on that Lucio. And Freedom, no reason to get off of the Ashe.
Again, I think the Ashe on this map is going to be extreme. We even see Cade pulling it out on the defense. D.Va coming out of both of these teams. No surprises here where D.Va has definitely felt like a very strong tank in the current meta setup that we have. So it's no surprise that teams are favoring that slightly over the Winston right now. Defensively, Cumberland, very, very standard. Ashe Genji, Brig Ana, that's kind of what we expect. Maroon will end up having Fern go over to the Winston. They're going to play Ana Lucio, which is definitely not the kind of support line you expect when you're on a map like Gibraltar. You almost never see a rogue Lucio like this.
Yeah, we'll see A&M, and again, it's always the early idea of, hey, we're going to try this out for a fight. We either cooked or we are cooked, and we're going to find out exactly if we should stick with this the rest of the game. We're going to see Jumba laying down the heels from the back line. Freedom catches a perfect timing onto Cabe, and yet again, the Texas A&M DPS getting the better of one of these Phoenix players, and that is going to be the time for Texas A&M to try to hit the go button a little bit here. But you were talking about the Rogue Lucio does eventually get caught out by Ginger, but they will get demec'd in the process, and then Freedom, no time for the Diva to even think about remake.
Yeah, extremely favorable fight coming out from Maroon. Yes, you know, their Lucio did go down, and they are going to eventually swap. It's good, you know, going over the Brig now, which I think is just overall going to be better. But it also allowed them to get this first team fight win, so you will take that every single day if you're Maroon. Like, do we even get another touch from Cumberland? Are they just going to give up the first point this easily?
They may try to go for a last-second touch here, but okay, they are actually going to go for, I don't know if it's the fake touch or if they actually do want to commit, but yeah, Nodi on the Sombra getting instantly taken out by the Winston. That might be the end of the fight for Cumberland. I guess they are going to throw a few more bodies at it, but I see some blinking health bars. They're going to use the Nano, and they're going to send in Bob for the side of A&M, so 1.66 meters, and now Cumberland deciding they want to try to play some defense, but things are not looking good.
This is what I expected when we come to a map like this for A&M Maroon. Freedom is just on that high ground, uncontested, because Ginger had to constantly be on the point, not letting it get captured. Nodi did go over to the Sombra. I am not a huge fan of the Sombra. It just feels like such a niche pick, but they are going to force out Primal.
Yeah, Fern going to see how much damage they can lay out since the Primal was forced. They are going to get hacked up there, so Nodi going to see if they can find that early Sombra value as best as they can, but Fern, Primal now burned, able to jump back to safety with the rest of the crew, but Texas A&M, they are on a bit of a run right now. This card has not stopped moving since minute 1 of the game, and we're going to see a nice little trade there, and now Cave is going to summon Bob, so Cumberland, they are trying to lock down near this airship and keep all these Texas A&M players at bay. Looks like Texas A&M, they are content to wait things out for a second.
Yeah, but Ginger's in a really bad spot, and they're going to get demec'd, which is going to force the bomb, which I think if you're A&M Maroon, given you didn't have to use anything, you'll take that.
Yeah, especially after that Primal gets burned at site, you're able to get one of these cooldowns back. At least give Ginger a little bit of a scare there. You had the potential to maybe find that kill shot as well, and now we're going to see the tanks yet again fighting for control of the high ground. Fern is going to jump right into the back line, and now we're going to see Sunless. The Dragon Blade, I believe, just expired, but got hacked up by the Sombra and shut down. Cumberland finding a few key picks at the perfect time.
And that was just extreme patience, waiting for the right time to pop that rally to give your team the sustain they needed to outlast the Blade, and then that manual hack coming in, as well as the Brig stun and Whiplash. There was just nothing Sunless Fiber could have done. Just got, sorry man, they threw everything at you, Fiber. You got outplayed there, buddy.
Yeah, lol, play safe is the old adage, and at least for Nodi now, Sombra does feel like arguably the most feast or famine hero that a lot of players pull out, where you feel like you are 1v9 controlling the game, killing that key DPS every single time, where you know you have a hard time staying alive, you get picked off a few times. Nodi gonna drop the EMP and instantly getting taken out by Jumba, but luckily there was enough damage dealt out for Cabe to possibly carry the latter end of the fight. But this whole time, Texas A&M, they're just trying to get this card to the time bonus. They do not want to be held in the mud any longer. And now we're going to have a Nano get sent in as well. Fern is a very angry tank and taking down all of the Phoenix one by one, as they should be getting the time bonus momentarily.
And that was just the later ultimates coming in. Came stronger for A&M Maroon. We did see Nano get used by Virtual, but A&M Maroon was able to outlast, return with that Nano of their own, and there's just nothing that Cumberland can really do about Fern, because we do see Ginger going over to the Winston now, but Diva can do nothing about that electricity. You can't eat that.
Yeah, we did see Ginger getting a nice pick onto the Brig as well, so Cumberland at least try to, right now for Cumberland, the name of the game is how many picks can we get every 20-30 seconds to keep forcing these 5v4s, keep forcing these resets. But if Nodi can just hack up the tank and almost get them one shot, that is going to work wonders as well. Fern has the ultimate online, maybe just waiting for the right time and place, but no other ultimates online besides Cape in the server.
Bob can be very powerful, and Chef is very close to a rally anyway, but Bob can just sit there and buy you time and allow you to get positioning. But Freedom getting Nodi out, that's not great position to be in. Nodi will be back fast, but you got to be careful here. Ginger cannot go down.
That is worst case scenario for Cumberland. Everything just fell apart there all at once. We saw the Bash kill by the Brig, and now we see the Ashe getting run down by Fern, and luckily enough HP still has the Primal online, and the Primal, when you're trying to play defense in this area of the map, feels absolutely disgusting. Winston feels like Thanos in this area of the map. We are going to see the sleep connect. We have Bob out into the field as well. And now we're going to have Nano rally everybody, sending everything. But Fern gets taken down before they can pop the Primal.
Yeah, with the Winston going down, the fight is all but over. Anna Maroon's going to have to look to reset. They still have plenty of time on this clock, and they have a lot of key ultimates coming online. I think the one big thing you have to nail in this next fight, if you're Cumberland, Jobin, has to be this EMP. Yep. Either you got to get aggressive with it and wipe them before they start using these ults, or you need to use them and try and cancel ultimates, or at least make them less effective.
Yeah, unless they can find a few picks like that. I was about to say the EMP is literally going to decide the rest of this game, but they are going to end up popping it, and it was well used. They find 3 kills instantly, but A&M, you see all those check marks over there. They are going to have a wealth of firepower for this last push here, but Cumberland just going to be sitting on a Nano Primal in all likelihood for the next fight. This is going to be highly explosive.
Yeah, you're going to have to hope to get an early pick off here if you're Cumberland, if you want to outlast this fight. Let's see what they can make happen.
Yeah, I saw Fern getting ripped up a bit there. You don't want to have to use the Primal too early, especially with the cart. Or no player able to actually get on it at the moment. Jumba very, very low. Will be able to escape to safety, and now it's 5 ultimates, and it's time to use them. Texas A&M, they are going to send it at Cumberland, and there is no chance of survival on the side of the Phoenix. The Wombo combo from the side of Maroon, but is it enough to finish out the map? Maybe they get one more spawn. Nodi, the only one getting squished, and 27 seconds left, but they do finish the map.
So I don't know if this would have mattered, but them finding Nodi and getting the pick before they can touch and stall the point, because Ginger had gotten the Nano, was getting ready to Primal. I don't know what happened there, but that was huge of A&M Maroon to find Nodi there before they could stall. So again, this is what I was hoping to see out of A&M Maroon with some good map choices. I still think Cumberland had their moments, but all in all, this has been Texas A&M Maroon's map so far. They've looked extremely impressive. Freedom's just been able to do everything he wants to. They haven't been able, in my opinion, to properly apply enough pressure onto Freedom. I think that's one thing you have to continue to change if you're the side of Cumberland coming in to this attack.
Yeah, it feels like Cumberland is actually doing an amazing job of finding picks onto the support, but then in Ashe is going unchecked for 15-20 seconds, and Freedom has shown that they will actually just take over the entire fight if they go a little bit unchecked for a little bit too long. So Texas A&M, that was a great round out of them, and we see it a lot of times on Gibraltar. The mid-round can get a little bit sketchy. You start to stall out for a little while. The fights don't look that good, but at the end there, they just knew, listen, if we stack 5 ultimates and we use them, there is a high likelihood we are going to bowl right over.
As we do see Sunless Fiber bringing out the Venture on this defense that was banned on the first map. So let's see how that wrinkle is going to affect things as a great anti-nade into the Venture. Woo-wee!
Talk about an opening salvo. Look at the fist fight in the side hall. We have 7 players dead, and we are not even 10 seconds into the round. That is the most kills and deaths I have ever seen that quickly to start a game of Overwatch. That was incredible out of both teams.
Yeah, but Cumberland has the closer spawns. You can see already finds Freedom, so they're just going to get a lot of cart progress just from the notion of, well, yeah, we traded out pretty much evenly, and we got closer spawns. Sorry.
Yeah, for Texas A&M, the thing is, it looked a lot cooler than it actually was for their side. Like, it looked fantastic, but they didn't actually find as many kills as they needed. And as you said, when the close spawns come through, that means the 3-for-3 is absolutely favored for Cumberland. And now Nodi over on the May, instantly shutting down that Venture. A nice little answer can just block up and stop getting dove. And now this Ashe, very, very sad because Fern's running him down.
Cabe going down. Very unfortunate for the side of Cumberland, but they still have great positioning. I mean, basically, you're going to have to come to them eventually if you're A&M Maroon, and Cumberland will win out in this brawl, but that was great. Just Poke coming in for and being able to take down Nodi.
Yeah, I want to see how long Freedom can go unchecked here on the Ashe, especially with some of this high ground to play off of. Can be absolutely disgusting and very violating to play against, but Texas A&M, they threw a nice counter punch there after that first fight. Things looking a little bit dicey, but they seemingly have dialed things in, and now Fern just getting taken down instantly by the support tank combo, and now Sunless gonna have to go underground. They are very low on HP as well. They're gonna activate the window, and now we're gonna see the Nano going through onto Sunless as well, but they don't have the ultimate quite online, so maybe a bit of mistiming out of Texas A&M.
I don't know, because they got their tank back. They are able to stall out, and the spawns are a lot closer now for A&M Maroon. So I actually think all things considered, it basically bought them time, and they're able to get a kill in the process. And with Nodi going down, that might just clean up this fight.
Yeah, I guess getting the kills kind of made up for any possible slightly off-timed ultimate,
what?
but obviously, job still got done. Ginger is going to try to send it. They're going to go for the rampage.
Nothing with that?
I didn't see any purple bars at the top of the screen, so I'm going to go ahead and assume that no one got chunked up with that thing. And now Sunless is going to pop their ultimate as well, just to see if they can finish off the scraps. And Cumberland, just a bit of a strange fight. One by one, they get sent packing. Ginger wanted it and got 2 doses.
Yeah, that was an extremely perplexing fight. We'll see, and they're going to get a late stagger onto Cabe. I think this is a dangerous position for Cumberland to be in. One, you know, obviously you're swapping over to the Diva now, so you have to abandon, you know, your comfortability on the Junker Queen. You got rid of your window, which has a lot of value. And what are you going to be able to do with this Blizzard? Freedom's never going to be in a position for you to, you know, get them with that. Same with Juneba. So you're hoping that maybe you get Fern or Sunless Fiber. They just have so much mobility to get out of that.
Yeah, Cumberland right now, I think the name of the game is, Nodi, can you sneak to the back line and pop a crazy Blizzard, or can Texas A&M scam 1 or 2 of their lives away and maybe be a little bit out of position for us? They are going to send Bob to the back hall. They do find the kill onto Virtual instantly, though, and now Freedom able to just still be unchecked on the high ground, but we do see Nodi and Ginger. They are still fighting things out, and now the Diva can find some value. Cumberland able to dive the back line and dive headfirst to the checkpoint.
Yeah, they kept that point pretty early in on that fight. I think it was a mistake from Maroon. They needed someone to touch, and they ultimately lost the fight anyway, but I think they meant to touch earlier. For the side of Cumberland, I do like the swap onto the Diva. It allows you to apply pressure onto Freedom, and you also can limit a lot of what Sunless Fiber can do, because you rely heavily on the combo of Drill Dash plus your primary fire, and Diva can just eat that. And your micro missiles put a lot of pressure onto Fern on the Winston.
Yeah, Freedom may still have a great game, but you've got to make one of these DPS uncomfortable, let them know that they're not safe to go free reign on everybody's head the entire length of the game. And speaking of, back in the feed yet again is the Texas A&M Ashe, and now Juneba has the Nano ready to go. Obviously, they do not need to use it right now. The fight looking good, but Cumberland, they're going to pop that window from the high ground, at least try to zone off some of these A&M players so they can try to get some more progress.
Bob's going to get thrown in from the side of Freedom. It's going to force the DMAC.
Yeah, did have the bomb, but wasn't able to remech in time. Bob wanted one last lap, was able to get it, courtesy of Ginger, and now Virtual able to win the support duel against Squid, and it looks like Cumberland, I see a lot of antis on that side though, but only one player able to fall, and that is Nodi. The rest of the side for Cumberland, they are looking fit as ever, but they do have to reset yet again. Texas A&M, they found enough kills to stall them out.
So defensively for A&M, they're in a pretty good position. They can hold these high grounds. They have a Nano from Juneba, and they have your Tectonic Shock as well. So with not much on the Cumberland side. So I think Texas A&M Maroon's in a good spot. They've got to continue to play their positioning well.
Yeah, a little bit of dynamite in the side hall, trying to see if they can get... And basically, it's going to be a race to Bob for both Ashes right now. We're going to see the Nano onto Sunless, and possibly see the engage as well, but you don't even need the ultimate when everybody has dying in seconds. And now you're able to just dive Ginger like it's nobody's business. Right up into the Diva's face, a little bit of body block action. And surely, don't need to chase the Diva, I guess. The job got done, and Cumberland only 30 seconds left.
As we see the swap over to the Diva, it doesn't really matter the ult charge damage. They had just used the bomb anyway. Still have a Tectonic Shock available from Maroon, and they're likely going to have a Bob as well. But a lot of ultimates are slowly creeping up for the side of Cumberland. They have to get a lot out of this Bob and window and give Nodi time to build up this EMP.
Oh, that's a nice nade out of Jumba to keep Texas A&M nice and healthy, and now maybe you can catch the tank out a little bit overextended. Sunless does pop the ultimate, and in the meantime, Ginger does win the tank duel against Fern, so Cumberland, that might be that one kill that you desperately need. Cave has Bob ready to go, Freedom does as well. And now it's going to be a mad dash to the cart and a mad dash to this checkpoint. Cumberland is knocking on the door.
You can still do the manual hack onto the Bob if you need it. Fern's low, they get Fern. This might be the key to getting the second point.
They do trade the tanks out, but now it was Bob v Bob, but Cave used theirs last, and now Virtual able to find a few headshots, and Cumberland, a buzzer beater for the checkpoint. And forget the 27 seconds that A&M had. Cumberland is right back in this thing.
Yeah, time does not matter on Escort. You just have to make sure you finish this. In 27 seconds on a map like Gibraltar, it maybe buys you an extra fight, but the fights just take so long. Nobody's going to have EMP to open things up in this next fight. Oh, they do get that Immortality field just in time to save Ginger.
Yeah, we're seeing some very clutch plays out of the supports the last few minutes, and now you've got Cave on the Widowmaker, able to take down the tank of A&M, and there's the Cave we were talking about. Said, listen, they might pick up the Widow, they can pick up the Cassidy, the Ashe. There is a litany of choices at their disposal, and now the Widow, maybe the one to be the nail in the coffin if they can keep shooting straight like this.
Yes, this is where you just have to be a lot more careful, and your positioning is even more important for the side of A&M Maroon, because Widow will win the poke battle against the Ashe. She just needs one clean shot, and the Ashe is done for.
Yeah, hard to play poke against the Winston diving the backline, but luckily, A&M, Fern gonna go back in one more time. Gonna take a lot of damage on the way out, but able to escape to safety courtesy of the jump and the bubble. And both teams, they can tell right now this fight is going to be big. Cumberland, they're just trying to see how many ultimates they can get online before they basically do what A&M did and send it all at once.
Cade's going to get taken down by Sunless Fiber on the venture. No surprises here. That's a great counter. Can they find more? It's overtime and no touches from Cumberland. Texas A&M Maroon ties up the series, winning Gibraltar in stunning fashion.
That feels bad if you're Cumberland. You did so well the last 3 minutes. You almost snatched victory from the jaws of defeat. Everybody played out of their minds. And that pesky little thing called the objective, unfortunately, neglected a second too long. And all of that work thrown out of the window and thrown into a 1-1 series.
And here we go. As I mentioned, I think this series is going to be coming down to choices of these maps. Bans might come into effect as well, but I think the maps are going to matter the most in what kind of play style we get out of these teams. You know, for example, like Flashpoint. All the Flashpoints are extremely brawl-centric, right? So if I am the side of A&M Maroon, I have a Flashpoint go last if we have to. Like, I'm taking us to like a hybrid or a push map where we feel more comfortable. Probably hybrid, because hybrid has a lot more choices that allow that play style of Texas A&M Maroon to thrive more. So maybe you go like a King's Row or something that's, you know, a lot more brawl-centric where you can get away with your Junker Queen. But I think this is going to be a fascinating series as it develops.
Yeah, it is going to be interesting. We've got an absolute dogfight in Division 1. This is exactly what we were promised with two teams, 5-2 for Cumberland, 4-3 for A&M Records, and we are right there neck and neck. Even map 1 was competitive, but we're going to find out what the mode's going to be, what the band shall be, and we're going to have more Division 1 NECC playoff action. Back to you guys, just a few minutes.
'Cause I'm stuck now, just trying to figure a way out. I've tried but can't seem to slow down, and I don't know if I want to.
All I seek to find is your seek to fight is a world that's mine. Need a place to hide, will you free my mind? Follow the light of a world that's blind. In your eyes I see there's a place for me.
And welcome back in, everybody. We have a series on our hands. Cumberland and Texas A&M trading blows in the early part of this best of 5. We have a 1-1 ball game after 2. Cumberland, I mean, even map 1, Samoa, it was very competitive. A&M had their moments, but Cumberland eventually just said, listen, we're Cumberland. We're going to take over this last round. We win these. But Texas A&M on map 2, Gibraltar, they showed a lot of toughness, a lot of fight there, and I don't know which way this series is going to go now.
We're going to have to take a look at this next map coming in, and it is going to be Saravasa is going to be the trigger pulled from Phoenix. I talked about, possibly leaving that for last. I'm not sure if I can't remember if there's a set order. There might be, but regardless, I do think, just making sure you get some momentum back on your side and just like, all right, let's secure us a map win here. At this point, if I'm A&M, I'm actually tempted to ban the Junker Queen here because it's a very good Junker Queen map. I talked about how, well, you could, use the maps to get around that, but I think given this is their map choice, this is a good Junker Queen map, I'm almost tempted to do it.
Yeah, sometimes the obvious answer is the correct answer, and the Junker Queen will be banned out. We are going to see Cumberland taking out the Lucio, so just basically, we do not want to play against the beat drop. You take away some of that speed, some of that healing as well. So both teams, I will be very excited to see what actually does get locked in here. We've seen a decent amount of variation. I mean, mostly the Cumberland DPS that have been shopping around a little bit, but none of these players have been scared to make some swaps.
And to me, what that says, given that the Lucio is getting banned by Cumberland, is I think it's still likely they could play the Ram, but it's less likely because the speed boost is very valuable. We will see the Ram, being highlighted by Fern at this moment. And I had a feeling if the Joker Queen got banned, that the Zarya was going to come out, given, you know, map 1 it was banned from A&M Maroon. So Ginger's like, well, I don't have Queen, and you already banned my Zarya, so Zarya is the name of the game. And the Brig Juno makes sense. We saw them play this on map number 1, and they basically took away A&M Maroon's best speed utility, and Cumberland's like, well, we can still speed it up because we play the Juno and we're comfortable with it.
I did see Nodi on the Tracer before the Symmetra TP, so that is going to be the hero they lock in. So Cumberland, a lot of firepower on that backline. Obviously, the Zarya is a fitting pick, especially for Saravasa, all these different brawl points. Let's get into it, though. Flashpoint, map 3, Saravasa, Cumberland and Texas A&M 1-1 in this best of 5 to get us going in the Division 1 playoffs. And we've got a bit of a fist fight in the early points so far. Ginger getting zoned off a bit by the Ramatra. Fern is going to have to fall back for the moment. It looks like Cumberland, they have assumed the point for the moment, and they will get the cap.
Yeah, and now you're going to push forward. If you're Ginger, you get Junba and Freedom. That is the Cumberland we are waiting for. They played their patience, built up their Zarya charge, used that virtual speed ring, and moved in and found their picks. This has been the quintessential playstyle we've seen out of Cumberland.
Yeah, Sunless the only one able to escape on the venture. Other than that, though, that was as clean a team fight as you could ask for Cumberland. It didn't lose a player in the process. You get 3 kills in the span of 2 seconds, and just like that. And now Sunless actually does get chased down eventually, or maybe went back in a little early to try to get some kind of play, but Virtual takes them down, and they free 50% that Cumberland has. It's going to be a much, much higher number now.
It's a really bad pick. You also just used a bubble that they didn't shoot at all. If you're in a Maroon, who's swapped over to the Zarya as well, which basically is going to enable their flex DPS a lot better. The bubbles for Nodi and Sunless Fiber is going to help them get a lot more aggressive.
85 and counting already. Cumberland already has the pulse bomb in the back pocket, so Nodi could just basically win Cumberland this point with one click of the button. It could be over just like that. They are going to send the pulse bomb through, not going to connect onto any targets, and now we are already in overtime, and Fern getting ripped apart by the Tracer. Nodi, Cave, and Ginger taking everybody out, and the Phoenix are going to wrap up point 1 with authority.
Again, so to me, I think the setup that Cumberland has with their supports is much more favorable to be able to play this Zarya style. I think the speed ring helps a lot to enable the aggression that Cumberland likes playing with. And because they get aggressive and take so much space, as I mentioned on Gibraltar for Freedom, in this case now it's Cave, just has all the space and angles to work within the world. He doesn't have to worry about a thing.
At least going to see if that lone ultimate is enough to zone off Texas A&M so they can once again get early access to the point. They're going to send in the Kitsune. Ginger's just sitting on the Graviton, you know, waiting for the perfect moment, and there it is. But the beat draw, or the Kitsune rush, and Squid's ultimate are going to be the response, but Cave says, I do not care what you use. I've got unfiltered access on this backline, and they do all of the damage they need. And Texas A&M sent packing again.
It's actually very clever of Cave, because like he realized that they were just full on, like, just had brain. We are going after Ginger. We are going after Chef in this case. But you know, they were vulnerable. I get it, and the tidal wave blast is active. Cave's like, I'm just gonna go on the stairs, take this angle, and just get all this free fire. So it's just a very smart play coming out from Cave. Maroon, however, coming back, a lot of their support. You see swaps coming in, Junba on the bat, and now we see Squid, you know, on the Juno.
Yeah, Nodi's got a pulse bomb. Anybody possibly taken out by it? The answer is going to be no. And as you said, Freedom is going to send Bob out. A&M, though, not really able to find as much space as they would like, but they are able to trade out the tank. Ginger maybe getting a little bit aggressive there. That's nice target isolation out of A&M. And I've got to think that they've got to try to send it at the point here. You've taken down the front line. Now there's been a little bit of time for the respawn, and now you've lost your Zarya.
Yeah, the immortality heal was just half a second late, and Fern goes down. You do get Chef in response. They got to get some of this fiber here, though, and they do, so it's still a fight for this point.
Oh my goodness, Cumberland just enough time to be annoying on the point, and now the tank is back. So at the very least, Cumberland, even if they do lose this staggered fight, they're sitting at 99%, so they are more than happy with the work they did.
It did cost them. They didn't use that much. So Maroon's got to get very aggressive. Not only with this tectonic shock, but with this window, because they got to get a fight by some time and basically take this to a 99-99 situation. So I would not be allowing them to take this much space. I'd be looking to press up looking for a spot to give Sunless fiber.
Yeah, Chef getting cracked by Freedom in the rifle there. That is a great first pick for the side of A&M, but now you've got to see if your DPS can get away to safety, and now both of the supports taken out by Freedom. Texas A&M, these are the key kills that you need to find. Didn't even need to use the window, still have the Venture ultimate sitting in the back pocket. Fern the only one that's a little bit far off, but definitely a much better state of affairs here.
Yeah, they could not have gone better. They win the poke war. I did not think they were going to be able to find those picks. I kept saying play aggressive, but you know they were able to do it, play their space. Freedom was able to find those picks, and they made it happen. Pulse Bomb's going to whiff, and now the window's out.
Yeah, they're going to send in Bob as Cumberland to try to see if they can establish some sort of control on the point, but now you've got Sunless just waiting in the back halls with the ultimate, seeing if they can catch anybody off guard. They're going to see if they can knock up onto this shooter or this brick. They can't find anybody quite yet, and now the Graviton out of Ginger. That is all Cumberland needs, and they are all dead in a flash.
Whew, that was close. Cave getting the Bob onto point, basically to just be a presence on there and keep the overtime going, while it allowed Cumberland to be able to position well and put themselves in a spot to take full advantage of that grav with the orbital ray. I just think it was well played overall by both teams. Maroon, though, they got to win the next 3 points in a row, or they're going to be facing down 2-1. They have a couple tools at their disposal. They'll have this orbital ray coming in, which I think that's going to be the linchpin for them in this next fight.
That dynamite, a lot of damage onto the brig, but not able to find any kills. Freedom will be able to escape to safety. Does have Bob online, but quickly dispatches of Cave in the meantime. This Ash Duel has been something to behold the entire series. And now A&M on the back of the orbital ray should be able to clean up the fight with relative ease, and it looks like they will.
Again, the orbital ray just came through in a strong way. Completely resets the side of Cumberland, and you're still able to keep your Ash, your Bob online for the next fight. We saw just how much value Cabe's gotten out of that. As Cabe has swapped off the Ash, has now gone over to the Cassidy. So the stun grenade, my guess is this is to deal with Sunless Fiber. Having the flashbang to be able to hinder and, you know, affect their mobility can be a nuisance for the Venture.
Yeah, Cumberland, we did see Nodi yet again. The Pulse Bomb just not able to connect onto any target. So despite the really good Tracer play, just not able to find that big and nasty ultimate that can really just win you a fight in an instant. And now Fern's able to draw first blood onto Cumberland. So Virtual, Orbital Ray not quite online for that second effort. And now Cumberland, they are yet again going to be forced back closer to the spawn. Sunless looking to give a little bit of chase onto some of these DPS. And it looks like A&M maybe one last push here out of Cumberland, and it looks like that will be the case, but it's not going to be a fun push. But if you take down Freedom, it might be a little more enjoyable.
I think that's the opening that Cumberland's been waiting for. They should be able to get aggressive here and find some of these picks. It takes all the poke out of the A&M's response.
Window grab, possibly the wombo combo that they needed, but they didn't even have time to really use it. Window and the Graviton both pop, but the fight was so scattered that they just weren't able to make heads or tails of the follow-up. So that means Cumberland walking away with that one with relative ease, and they're the ones with the ultimate advantage going into the next set.
That is devastating for the side of A&M Maroon. Having two of those major ults being popped up. We do see Juba going over to the Kiri, so maybe, you know, at the end of the day, they go, okay, we're going to swap to Kiri anyway, but the grab just annihilates Maroon.
Yeah, the best is when you can just make sure it's a solo grab that's able to find you all that damage, because you know Zarya, she's going to be able to get that ultimate sooner than later. The fact that you can just basically hop around that corner, pop the grab, instantly take everybody out. That is a textbook play out of the Phoenix. And now they're going to have a whole lot of powerful zoning ultimates, especially looking at Cabe and Nodi, that can really, really make a difference here. Uh-oh. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, that is what we're looking for. If you're the side of Maroon, they still have the Tectonic Shock, and they're coming really close to an orbital ray. Let's see what Cabe gets with the high noon.
Gets knocked up by Sunless, but doesn't able to find anything, and now Chef taking Sunless down. These supports are getting active. Jumba and Chef both finding a kill in the early going. It looks like Nodi, again, wasn't able to connect on an earlier pulse bomb in the fight. Texas A&M, the second, third, fourth effort might just be going their way. Fern, just enough sustain there from the support duo, and it looks like A&M not ready to say die on Surabasa yet.
Next, Flashpoint, Ruins.
There we go. Some positive momentum coming in from Ana Maroon, and the icing on top was that they kept on to that orbital ray, so they'll be able to throw that in for this next fight coming over to the ruins. And because they got some of those late staggers, they're going to be able to get themselves in a good position for this next fight. So I think A&M has a chance to force a 5th point.
Monumentally better spot than they were even 2.5 minutes ago. They were down in ultimates, they had lost the point, things were looking grim, and now all of a sudden, you've got all the momentum on your side. Freedom, they're going to unleash the early bob. Chef's going to answer with the rally. They both want to make sure they try to get this first capture, both squads. Virtual, the orbital ray, thinking that was going to be due any moment. And now we're going to see a Ginger can just build up to this Graviton instead. It's going to be both orbital rays, and it's the DPS out of Cumberland instantly winning the fight for the Phoenix.
And they also had the rally behind them to constantly give them heals with their array. So basically no one was going to be dropping health if you're within the aura of that orbital array. So it was a very well played play for the side of A&M Maroon. I mean, for the side of Cumberland. It was just at the cost of both your support ultimates. But they have the grab advantage early on if they get aggressive, because Fern's still got another 10% to build. And Cumberland is a team of aggression, so I wouldn't be surprised if they go now and quickly.
There it is. Yep. Right on the money you called it. Cave instantly got aggressive, was bloodthirsty in the early going, and exactly what you were talking about. Cumberland knows they have a small window to punish, and they will do so every which way. The good thing is, too, the fight before this one, where they absolutely rolled them, they were able to get Bob and the orbital ray out of Texas A&M, so they got 2 key cooldowns out, and they would have loved to have had it for that last fight there.
The unfortunate thing for Maroon was they used their Kitsune Rush. I would have loved to have that for the next fight. Nodi used the pulse, but the Silver Bullet tries to pick on the Freedom.
Yeah, Cave is a brick wall with the rest of the crew, but the Graviton active, and now Deadeye to see if they can at least take down the Zarya. And now Cave's rolling forward into 3, and everybody taken out piece by piece. We are going to see a late contest on the point. I've got to imagine Cumberland will be able to clean this up sooner than later. Sunless, they're going to do what they can, but it is a fleeting moment of OT. And there's a few more shots from Cave to, you know, pad the stats a little bit, showcase the numbers, and that is going to be Cumberland winning out on map 3 and taking a foothold in the series 2-1.
And I didn't expect it to be like 3-1, and with 3 of the 4 points, you know, all things considered, being pretty dominant. But I did think, given we were going to a map where, you know, Cumberland could play the brawl that they feel very much more comfortable in, this would be a map where you go, okay, there's probably a good likelihood that Cumberland's going to go 2-1 in this series. It was their map choice. They feel comfortable here. We do know there's 2 map types left. We have Escort and we have Hybrid. Not Escort, we have Hybrid and we have Push. We already went to Escort. That was Gibraltar. I think if you want to more likely guarantee a win to send this to map number 5, I think Hybrid is probably your better choice. You can find a map that allows a lot more space. Like, I'm not sure if it's a full open map pool, but I just think of maps like Numbani, Paraíso, stuff like that, where you can have a lot more space, or even like a Blizzard world, where you just have a lot of space, a lot of poke, and that's where A&M has thrived. A lot of the push maps, you could play a lot of different styles of compositions. It's not favored toward anything. So I think if you went to push, I think, you know, comfortably, Cumberland's going to be like, okay, we're okay. We'll just play our queen. Like, we're okay with that. Even if it was like a map like Esperanza or something, they could still play it on there and find success in it. So I think if you want to send this to map 5, you probably need to go Hybrid next.
Yeah, I think Hybrid might suit them better just because Push 2, not that Hybrid can't be a snowbally game mode, but sometimes when things aren't going well in Push, it feels like you look up at the scoreboard and the game is over in 4 minutes and you're like, I don't even feel like we spawned in that game. We lost 3 fights. They got early ultimates. They went up 120-0, and then we really didn't have a fighting chance the rest of the way. We have seen a ton of games end up going in that fashion. At least in Hybrid, there's a little bit more push and pull, a little more room for forgiveness in some aspects. So I think that would probably be the smart choice, but if they want to spice it up, if they've got something cooked up for push, then maybe they'll pull something out and go there. But I think Hybrid will probably be the logical choice here.
We will be finding out shortly what those bans and those maps will be For any folks who just came in, this has been quite the series. Cumberland, number 9 ranked in the collegiate Overwatch rankings right now, going up against Texas A&M Maroon, number 15 in the rankings. Cumberland came out of the gate. It was a close 2-1 series on Samoa, where the Junker Queen composition ended up taking the edge there. And then we went to Gibraltar, where poke was a lot more prevalent, a lot more Winston, a lot more dive, and A&M Maroon definitely had the advantage there. They were able to complete the map while Cumberland was not. And then Servasa was pretty much a dominant effort from the side of Cumberland. So I think there's a clear line in the sand where it's like, if we're playing this style, A&M has the advantage. If we're playing the other style, Cumberland has the advantage. So as I've talked about throughout the series, it's really going to come down to what maps we go to.
And now it's playoffs, so all the LAN experience, all the championship experience Cumberland obviously having a little bit more of it, just dating back the program as a whole, having a little more success on a broader scale and not some of the Riot titles, for example. So all that experience, all that time where you had to make mid-series adjustments, where maybe you started off a series down 0-2, maybe you were the team that was down 1-2, and you had to crack open the books and figure out what exactly can I do to get my team over the finish line here. And we are going to be going over to Esperanza for map 4. So Texas A&M, they have decided this is the place that can save our series.
I do think of all the push maps, Esperanza is going to be the one best suited to playing the style that they want to play. Freedom on the Ash, you're going to have a lot of high ground area to be able to work with. I think, Winston tends to find pretty good success. And if you want to go Ramatra instead, it's still a pretty good pick on this map. So I think given the fact that they've decided to go push, I think they've chosen the map that gives them the best chance of success to force a map number 5. And, maybe that's, their play here where, they know that a lot of these hybrid maps could favor their play style a lot better. So if they can manage to sneak a win on push against Cumberland, they feel themselves, no matter what map Cumberland goes with for map number 5, they like their chances on hybrid.
Yeah, I would just hope that this isn't a case of overthinking it where you're like, listen, let's just get through the push, and then if we can get to hybrid map 5, then maybe we can take them over because we like the advantage in our play style. But it's the playoffs. You're down 2-1 to, objectively what has been a better team so far. You said, you gave the rankings, they're 6 places ahead. So Texas A&M, a win here, not only do you win in the playoffs, you're probably jumping 3 to 4 spots in those rankings as well. Or maybe if you don't steal Cumberland's spot, there's going to be a lot more other shuffling. So there's going to be a lot of movement possibly on those rankings if Texas A&M, if they're able to pull this one off. And we are going to have Juno, Genji getting banned out respectively, A&M taking away the support, and Cumberland just taking away some of that firepower potential.
I'm a little surprised they decided to go with the Genji. We've obviously seen Sunless Fiber these last couple maps playing the Venture instead. I know Venture got banned map once, so it's not like they can ban it again, but Sunless Fiber was only playing Genji when Venture was not available. So you think, there's probably just, unless they're looking to protect like a DPS of theirs that they didn't want banned. I don't know what the order was for the bans, but getting the Juno out, I think was really smart. We haven't seen Cumberland pull out a Lucio at all, so Juno has been their method of getting speed, and they have used their orbital rays on Juno to great success for Cumberland. So I think this was a very good ban on their part.
Yeah, it's a Juno. You can argue that it's never necessarily a bad ban, but yeah, especially the way Cumberland was moving and grooving with it. That is a fantastic choice for A&M. And now we're going to see what exactly getting locked in. Nodi hovering the soldier, at least for now. We're going to see if that does end up going through. A&M playing basically the same stuff they've been playing. Freedom sticking to that Ash like it's glue. Sunless will be picking up the Venture after the Genji ban, and then the supports sticking to what they were on basically all of last map.
I do like Cumberland coming into this map and saying, like, look, the Junker Queen's not going to be as conducive. Let's go with the Zarya. And I do like the Zarya a little bit better into the Ramatra as well. And they do pull out the Lucio for the first time, which I think is going to be necessary for this map, being able to get clean rotations and be able to use that speed boost to your advantage. Soldier is the perplexing pick here, honestly.
Well, that's why I saw the hover, and sometimes you see them hover like 2 to 3 heroes where they're not really meta. They're obviously having fun because we just don't really see that stuff too often. But then I see the soldier waltz on out at a spawn. I was like, all right, I guess we are indeed doing this. So, and Nodi, even the whole series, Nodi has been the one DPS that's really just been, what's the flavor of the minute type of game? We saw the Genji, we saw the Echo, now we're seeing the Soldier, we saw the Tracer. I believe they were the one on the Sombra as well. So they are running the gambit of DPS heroes right now, just still trying to find that perfect one, it feels like, for the series.
Yeah, not that, I don't know, I just don't like the combo of the Soldier and the Tracer. And again, that was just an unfortunate vortex. Nodi gets punished, and that's pretty much going to buy them the first point. That's such a quick first point cap for the side of Texas A&M Maroon. I'm sure I'm sure Cumberland's going to look to try and, look to, touch the point here, but they're down their Soldier, who Nodi's now gone over to the Echo.
Yeah, so at least, again, I always say better to switch early than later when it's too late and you've wasted time getting perk XP, but Nodi, again, just the constant swaps always give me a little bit of cause for pause with some teams. It feels like we don't really know what's working, nothing we're trying is working, but luckily Chef's hands are working. They shut Freedom down, and now on the back of the Kitsune Rush, Cumberland can finally get the push they've been desperately trying to get.
Yeah, but I mean, getting Squid is actually big. Because I'm like, literally, they just kind of kited it and backed out. But the fact that they're able to get Squid, that signifies, like, okay, now we got what we needed. Junebug goes down as well. So this is going to be plenty of space bought for the side of Cumberland. It did cost them the Kitsune Rush, and A&M has yet to use anything, so they're going to have a lot of tools to come back with. And K-Whiffing on the Pulse Bomb is also just going to add to that ult disadvantage you're looking at for this next fight.
Yeah, these Phoenix Pulse Bombs are 0 for on the day so far. I'm not sure a single one has actually found an execute, so surely would love to see the DPS land one of those at some point. I know the teammates would certainly be thrilled with it. And now the Kitsune Rush activated yet again, and yet again it's Freedom getting targeted out and make that both DPS. They have 2 fights where they don't even have a chance to get the ultimates online, and Cumberland, they will just get to continue the march after the 2 picks.
And it feels like Fern's kind of just like a sitting duck to me. If you're going to play this Ramatra with these DPS on this point, all things considered, you should be mostly staying on the point. You're not allowing them to touch, and you're just holding block and allowing the rest of your players to find picks. That's just not happening so far.
Annihilation, and speaking of sitting duck, Fern pops the Annihilation and literally standing still to try to soak as much damage as they can. The contest just slowly stopping the checkpoint from going through 0.3 meters maybe. Nodi is going to land the full combo onto Sunless, and now the beat drop coming in for the second effort, and that's going to be more than enough healing for Texas A&M to find a few more kills, courtesy of the Ramatra.
As the Duke comes in from Nodi onto the Ramatra, as they're looking to try and build an Annihilation of their own, and they do just in time. Let's see what they can make with it.
Yeah, I think they're actually going to win the 1v1 after a great work by Cape there, especially to find the kill, the finishing blow onto Fern at least. But unfortunately for Cumberland, now they will finally get the checkpoint. They can watch this fun little animation, and now they have officially taken the lead.
All in all, it was still a pretty expensive fight for Cumberland. Throughout that long fight, they ended up using 4 of their ultimates. But I mean, so did Maroon. They used a lot of their ultimates as well. And Virtual has the Kitsune Rush advantage, so Cumberland can look to buy a lot of lead here if they use it to their advantage.
Yeah, they're going to send it early on in the fight as sort of that engage tool, try to back off all of Texas A&M. Cabe trying to light him up on the Tracer, and now Texas A&M, they're going to succumb to the swaps. Freedom is going to hop onto the Cassidy, and we are going to see Sunless eventually just saying enough of the venture, I'm popping onto the Tracer. Hopefully build up to that Pulse Bomb and land a nasty one-shot onto somebody, and now the Kitsune coming in through from A&M, and now they're just going to throw the counter punch at the Phoenix, and Cumberland are the ones running for the hills.
Yeah, once you lost Ginger, the fight was either you die on point or you try and get out, because you have the forward spawn, so you have an opportunity to take another fight. Cave is also going to go over to the Cassidy as well. No more Tracer for their side, which again, I think that's going to help a lot in this battle with Sunless Fiber. That the flashbang is just so threatening to a Tracer.
Yeah, you can instantly shut the Tracer down, go for the one-shot, so it is a nice hard counter to her possibly. Cave is going to play on the edge there, taking a little bit of damage, backs off to safety, and Nodi maybe 2 left clicks and instantly getting deleted by Freedom. So whether it's the long rifle or the 6-shooter, Freedom is finding headshots time and time again. And that means Texas A&M can start to get some desperately needed progress. They're only about 25 meters behind though, so this game still virtually on a knife's edge.
And they have a distinctive ult advantage here against Chef. huge pick from Freedom.
Wow. Texas A&M, they knew exactly what they wanted to do and when. Fern and Freedom shutting it down on the front line, and now they should be able to take the lead.
They definitely will, and they still have 3 ultimates in their back pocket. Nodi has gone over to the Tracer off of that Echo. And oh, they will get the touch in time to stop A&M from taking the lead. I think they're just doing the smart thing. They're looking to just back out and take high ground control. They know they have an ult advantage. I mean, it's going to be even now that you use that pulse bomb from Sunless Fiber. But I think they just favor being able to have the better positioning, which I think is smart. Because then if they win the fight, they take a even greater meterage advantage.
Yeah, it's all fun and games till a Grav Deadeye possibly goes through, and then if that cleanse is not ready to go, things can get very, very sad very quickly, but the positioning is strong from A&M right now. They understand that if we play off this positioning, Cumberland may throw one of their lives away at us, and then we can instantly send it, and we can find exactly what we want. And now we're going to have Dueling Kitsunes. Both teams going to send everything into the wind here. Graviton beat Kitsune from the Phoenix. A&M, the late pop of the Annihilation, maybe that extra little bit of effort that they need. Cave's Deadeye not going to be able to find anything. Nobody dead in this fight quite yet. And finally, we're going to have picks go through, and it's the Kiriko from Cumberland.
And again, Cumberland threw 4 ults into that fight. Maroon, very similarly, they threw 3. Freedom's going to have a high noon. Nodi's going to have a pulse bomb. That's the differences coming in, and we're 2 meters separated with still 2.5 minutes to go. This is anybody's game. I do think getting these forward spawns, if you can, for the side of Cumberland would be a big deal, but they're just going to look to just take the fight already.
Yeah, I think Freedom maybe agreed with their sentiment there, said, hey, Cumberland might try to run us down and get some early spawns, so let's pop this Deadeye, buy some space, and Cave just in no man's land right there, got zoned off by the Deadeye, and then just literally nowhere to go. Pulse Bomb not going to be able to take down Fern with the extended HP, and Freedom now taking over the fight for the side of A&M, killing 4 out of 5, and it's a team kill for Texas A&M.
You did get the forward spawns for the side of Cumberland, so they'll all be able to take another fight without having to lose the lead. Pulse Bomb online for Sunless Fiber, but again, Virtual continuously having the percentage lead in the Kitsune Rush battle could be a major difference as we're coming up on the final minute of this map.
Yeah, and Freedom feels like they're getting back to the form that we saw in a lot of stretches on that Ashe earlier, and Cumberland made this game very scrappy for A&M, so no one person has really had the ability to carry these games, but when you see the Cassidy starting to rack up 3-4Ks like that, you have got a good feeling in your stomach. But as you said too, the ultimates right now, they are going to be everything for both sides. Kitsune's both ready to go, and they're both going to be sent early on yet again. The same timing that we always see. Pulse Bomb finally finds a connection. It's the Lucio of Cumberland. So Texas A&M, that might be the one they need to win the fight. But Cave with the Deadeye, the Graviton, and the combo from the Phoenix. And they win a big one to take the fight.
It was a 3-for-2 ult exchange. Given that there's still a good amount of time left on the clock, it's going to come down to possibly one final fight. We're going to have a sound barrier and an annihilation going up against, I mean, you have a pulse bomb for Nodi, maybe, but Chef is nowhere close to the sound barrier. A&M's in a great spot for this next fight, and they're not going to be able to get these forward spawns. I think A&M may be able to turn this around and win this map. They have to.
Yeah, they might be in a good spot for Cumberland. If they can at least contest this card and don't let them get too much space, then maybe they will get a chance at a second fight, but screw a second fight. Let's ice them with the first. Nodi's able to win the 1v1 with some help from Cave, and now the Pulse Bomb for Nodi just about ready to go online. We see the Annihilation ready for Fern. The Kiriko is down. It's going to be a Desperation B drop, and now Virtual taken down. Yet again, that might be the 4th or 5th game we've seen this month in the last month where a team has failed to stay on the objective, and Cumberland living up to that better record and holding on to that OWCRA ranking. 3-1 win over Texas A&M Maroon.
Oh, very, very well played from both of these teams. I think, you know, I know this is a 3-1, but I think A&M Maroon really showed their stuff. I think, they showed why they are ranked 15 right now. A lot of these maps came down to the wire. First map could have gone either way, a fight or two there. This one literally came down to a singular fight. They just lost Sunless Fiber so early in that fight. I mean, hats off to Nodi, man. Winning that Tracer duel and getting that kill basically turned that fight immediately. Um, but Cumberland showed once again why we knew they were the slight favorites coming in, and they played very well.
Yeah, I mean, A&M pushed them to the absolute limit and then some. And it, like you said, it was literally the last two fights. Even the fight before that, I'm pretty sure Texas A&M gets first blood. Then there's a double grab. Cape pulls the Deadeye trigger at the perfect time to get both kills, and they're instantly able to clean things up. And then, as we talked about, Nodi just able to assess and go in there, find the first kill. And Cumberland, all they needed was that little inch, and that's what the great teams do when they find the smallest little window to punish. They make the most of it. You give them an inch, they take a mile, and they showed why they are one of the better teams that we have in collegiate, and they clung to that ranking. But Texas A&M, I mean, this is about as good as you could have played in a 3-1 loss.
Congratulations to the side of Cumberland. We do have to keep in mind this is a double elim bracket. Sorry, I was just taking a look at the bracket right now. Cumberland will be playing Fisher in the next round, who Fisher is currently ranked number 4 right now. So then that will be Cumberland's chance to look to try and punch up for a change. Who the Fisher just 3-0'd BSC, who took down Cumberland a couple weeks ago, 3-1. So that's going to be an interesting match, as Texas A&M will fall to the losers bracket. So they still have a chance to try and claw their way back up and win the fall semester.
Yeah, definitely going to be fun to watch, especially now that playoff season just has a different energy. This is when the rankings are going to come out for end of semester going into the new year. Who are the best teams to look out for when we go into May Madness and go into all these different collegiate lands later in the year? So it is going to be a very, very fun time, but we obviously are going to have a second series a little bit later on in the day. Just going to cue it up here to make sure I got the correct teams. It is going to be Wayne State College taking on Cal State Dominguez Hills Crimson. And these are two teams that have played extremely, extremely well so far in the early season. Wayne State only has one loss on the record, and that playoff action, it is just going to keep roaring with what should be a very, very interesting game in that second slot.
And Division 6, that's the division we'll be delving into. So very excited to see how these teams will fare. But with that, we are going to take a break. The next match does not start for 35 minutes. So we will see you guys at 10 p.m. Eastern. Don't go anywhere. You got a chance to go get some food, so go do that, and we'll see you back in 35 minutes.
I'm trying to get to you. Yeah, I'm trying to get to you. I wanna get to you, cause I gotta get to you. I would climb 1,000 mountains, swim across the darkest oceans. I'm trying to get to you. Yeah, I'm trying to get to you. I wanna get to you, cause I gotta get to you. I gotta get to you.
I've only stumbled over diamonds, and I no longer fear the worst.
Welcome back, everybody. Our first series of the day in the NECC playoffs was a great one. Cumberland takes down Texas A&M 3-1 in Division 1. Now we're going to shift gears. Jobin and Ray, we're going to head down to Division 6. We've got Wayne State and we've got CSUDH, Cal State, Dominguez Hills. Two teams that have had amazing seasons, but now we get to see what's up with the playoffs and who's really bringing it tonight.
I will say CSUDH has a history in some of these lower divisions of putting together some great performances and some top finishes. So I'd be curious to see, because I believe this is not their main roster. This is like their JV roster. So I'm curious to see how they'll perform. And then Wayne State's completely new to me, so I'm very excited to see. And again, given that we're in Division 6, anything is game here. Like, do not expect the norms. You could get the norms, but that's not necessarily what's going to be the given in these lower tier divisions.
Yeah, it becomes the Wild West very, very quickly, and that's what makes it a lot more fun because it comes down to what are you good at, and can you outgood the other team's best hero? It comes down to just raw. We play what we play. We're gonna beat our head into the wall. We're gonna see if it works, and oftentimes it makes for some fantastic, fun matches. And I did take a look at least a brief history of both of the schools so far, at least in Division 6. Wayne State 5-1. Most of their wins are coming in 3-0, 3-1 fashion, so they've had a relatively easy run to that record so far. And for CSUDH 4-2, one of the losses was an FF that they had to take, so can't really take too much out of that one. So, if you want to call them effectively 4-1 with a game pending, that also acceptable. But two teams that they've known, as you said, CSUD, they've been a lot of really good teams. I've casted their other Overwatch teams in Playfly and Play Versus several times. They've got some really good players over there. And the beauty of the unknown is what's going to make this series so fun. Where are we going to go? What's going to get banned? All so much fun to be uncovered.
That's what makes this game so exciting, and going into some of these other divisions, as we do have once again Samoa going to be the first map picked for the series. We saw in the earlier series, this map itself tends to lend itself to brawl compositions a little bit more. So expect, if you're thinking what kinds of tanks, the Junker Queens, the Orissas, the Rams, possibly Reinhardt, if you're feeling a little feisty, as we do see the bans now coming on screen as Ana and Tracer. I think Tracer is a very standard ban coming out from CSUDH. Ana, I'm not sure what order they went. It could have been a protect for a certain support, or maybe they scouted something from CSUDH and they are aware of someone who likes to play Ana a lot on that team.
Yeah, and oftentimes in these lower divisions, those pocket picks, they are literally the difference between winning and losing for a lot of teams. These are the kind of teams where not necessarily one player can carry, but they can have a very large impact on the game. And as we've gotten kicked up into the playoffs, obviously the competition is hot. It is roaring. Everybody at home, make sure that you stay locked in. Keep those eyes protected with Buy Blue Light, the official eye care partner of the NECC. Their premium blue light glasses keep you sharp, focused, and ready for victory. Level up your game, protect your vision. That's BYEBluelight.com. Make sure you got sunglasses on because this show should be fiery.
Love me some blue light glasses, and they are extremely high quality, so make sure you guys get yourselves a pair. As we see the teams rolling out, Orisa, Ramatra, no surprises here out of either of the teams. No. We do get the pause coming online. One thing to mention about both of these tanks that we see being rolled out for the side of CSUDH, the Ramatra did get a slight buff on this patch, got an extra 25 health added to their health pool, and the Orisa did get a slight nerf. It's not going to be effective in this particular matchup. Orisa, when they use Fortify and Terra Surge and you got your Fortify up, any forced critical hits now count, and it's not nullified by the Fortify, so it mostly matters when you're matching up into the Mauga. So I think the Orisa and the Ram, I like the juxtaposition. I do think the Orisa, the Javelin can affect that block from the Ram quite a lot. And I do actually like the Torbjorn coming out from Wayne State, especially given that Chubb is on this venture right now. The turret can be troublesome for those flankers.
Yeah, we've got the Wu Yang Kiriko backline for the side of Wayne State. CSUD, they're going to opt for the Kiriko and the Wu Yang on their side, respectively. We are 5 seconds away from the point unlocking. It looks like CSUN Crimson, they've got the slight edge. They've got the front foot forward a little bit. And we're going to see the Orisa either not getting enough healing or overextending, whatever you want to spin it. CSUN is looking to win the first fight, and they've got the capture.
Yeah, both teams running out on that Wu Yang Lucio's. We do see immediately Yihen going over to that Cassidy. Again, we talked about it, getting that buff on this patch to where they get an extra half a second on that flashbang, which comes into great effect as Chubb gets the pick onto Dry Robin. And again, CSU DH is just doing a great job of playing their space, and they're just, you're having people take a lot of off angles, like XDL, just, you know, got that pick purely off an off angle.
Yeah, Cassidy on an off angle going unchecked. You are certainly going to lose the follow-up fight. That is way too much. Yes, got cooked up, and that's how you shut down the Cassidy. You focus fire, line him up, and knock him down. And now the rest of Wayne State following soon. That is a team kill, and they got that one quick.
Yeah, the Cassidy and the Sojourn with the double hit scan now coming into great effect. As long as Wayne State can continue to keep their distance, give Gihen and Dre Robin plenty of space to work with, they're going to be in a great spot. And the Orisa works perfect to basically buy space and stop teams from pushing in. Just because you have that fortify, you have a lot of sustainability. I think they should be in a great spot.
Yeah, Terra Surge can force up the cleanse early in some of these fights as well, so it can be very nice. And speaking of, we're going to see Dirk instantly going for the swing and win there, and now we're going to see Gihen eventually getting a kill after the Deadeye goes through, and it looks like Wayne State, they do find a few key picks. There's no tank alive for either side right now, but CSUN Crimson, I mean, not having that front line a little bit farther away, that is going to hurt you, Chubb, and not able to withstand the might of Gihen. And it looks like the rest of Wayne State, they find the kills they need, and they will flip it back.
It's a very favorable ult exchange. I think getting the point flip was big for CSU, so it makes, you know, you get probably 2 more cracks at this to try and flip it. But you're facing down a Kitsune Rush without one of your own. That was the big thing, was Wayne State held into the Kitsune Rush.
Now we're going to see Blades does have their Kitsune for the follow-up fight. Obviously, the tidal wave also in the back pocket for Revenant, so there are a lot of big tools for Wayne State to try to go through it. Choco forced to pop Annihilation. They got chunked down so low they had no choice but to use it, and now the tidal blast is going to come through from Xerneas. Revenant going to answer with theirs as well, and it's still Gihen, this Cassidy, seemingly always the one to find a kill to get the fight going. And now CSUN Crimson, the tank is on 1 HP, the backline's not able to heal, and a Kitsune Rush for good measure, and it's going to send CSUN Crimson running.
As we see swaps coming in already for the side of CSU, we got Choco Crispy, I'm sorry, going over to the Zarya, which it's a great counter to the Orisa. No surprises there, but they need to touch. They get it just in time from Chubb.
Yeah, Deadeye gonna get activated though, and there is the Cassidy, a double kill for Gihen. And Wayne State, that'll be more than enough to get this fight wrapped up and taken care of. The Orisa and the Cassidy, 2 of the 3 left standing after the dust settles, in Wayne State with a big round 1.
Score 1-0.
For CSU, they did make some swaps. They really didn't get to, because it was so late, they didn't really get to see the effectiveness, as I mentioned. The Zarya, if played, you know, properly, it counters out the Orisa pretty well, because you just get that beam charge up, and Fortify doesn't really matter. The beam just eats you alive. We do see some changes coming in from Wayne State at the moment. We'll see if they actually decide to roll out on those heroes or not, or if it's just one of those hover situations we talked about in the past. But it is not. They are going to roll out on the Roadhog into Choco Crispy's Winston. So if you're not careful and you get hooked as a Winston, that Roadhog can actually wipe you off the server very quickly. So you got to be careful if you're Choco Crispy.
I am so happy there is a Roadhog on my screen. It is the most fun you can have watching this game. I am absolutely convinced, because it is sometimes just the other team being made miserable for the duration of the round. Gonna be over 1 on the hook so far, but it definitely spices up the comp for the side of Wayne State, especially after they had a lot of success. And I mean, if Gihen can continuously just take down Chubb or XD, these fights are all gonna be very, very easy.
again, Wayne State is just thriving in this is just another version of like a poke with the they're kind of playing poke with the Orisa. Now they're playing full on poke with the Roadhog, where it's just like, you know, Hay, Dry, and Gihen are just going to take their angles, look for picks. Even Blades to a degree with the Kiriko, where there's just a lot of one-shot potential to a lot of these heroes.
Yeah, just big AoE ultimates. Whole Hog, obviously the Visor and the Deadeye. That is basically just, if you walk anywhere in this zip code, we are going to take you down, and we're going to do it very quickly. We do see Choco trying to survive the front line, is going to get hooked up, taking a little bit of damage back and forth. Who else to get first blood except for the Cassidy at Wayne State? And now they're sitting at about 30% and counting. The Ramatra trying to get a kill onto the Kiri, but can't even finish the 1 HP support.
On the side of CSU, I get what Choco Crisp is trying to do. They're trying to get aggressive, trying to make a play, but they're also putting themselves at a position, like, even if they push up like that, it's hard for the rest of the team to be able to go in with them, because it feels like for the most part, Wayne State's allowing them to push in, but then kind of just like, they don't have an actual wall, but basically walling them off and just taking care of them before the rest of the team can care for them.
Yeah, Gihen yet again up to their antics, seeing if they can get some backline access. There's the whole hog, and there's a whole lot of damage going through for Wayne State. CSUD Crimson put in the absolute mixer in that small room, and Wayne State, 2 ultimates, 5 kills.
And they still have 3 key ultimates to work with. CSU, however, will have all of their war chest available for the most part. XD LOL did go over to the Reaper, which is going to be a great counter to the Roadhog, but you're down Chubb already.
I swear he either got hooked or he dove with the enemy team. I'm going to assume that it was a hook from the Roadhog. Otherwise, that was a crazy business decision, but CSUD, you do at least find a kill or 2 back, unfortunately. There's the poke that we talked about with the Annihilation. Fist speed gun when you get into melee range, but now the Ramatra, essentially a sitting duck, but now the rest of the crew there to support. XD's got the Death Blossom online. Chubb has arrived back from the respawn, so the weird start to the fight where Chubb gets taken out early, looks like it ends up okay in the end.
Yeah, now that you were able to outlast the side of the side of Wayne State, this Roadhog is going to be that much harder to be able to find its way in. Especially with the threat of the Reaper on board, and now that you got 3 ultimates as well, you have to hope for like a very good hook, or for basically someone to take an off angle like Dry is right now and look for a big time pick.
Yeah, and even Chubb on the bench are obviously having a bit of a rough game so far, but 1 ultimate, 1 setup for a combo, and that is all you need. Look at CSUD clicking their buttons, and they send Wayne State back to the spawn as fast as humanly possible.
I would say they do get extremely lucky that Wayne ended up using their Kitsune Rush, because that would have been a 3-for-0 ult commitment. But I mean, the fact that they got the Kitsune Rush, I think, might be enough to keep their hopes alive.
Oh,
and it's
no.
a good hook, but they don't find the kill.
Yeah, and now Dirk is going to have to get back to the health pack. The Deadeye is going to be there to zone off. Can they find the Reaper? Yes, XD just get that Wraith for him. The timing is immaculate from the Cassidy. But now the Venture I was talking about, if she gets a few seconds of uptime, she can absolutely turn this fight. But now the Roadhog ultimate to seal the deal for Wayne State. A lot of damage going through, a lot of zoning potential. And it looks like CSUD Crimson may be able to answer the bell one more time, but it is going to be a tough fight the rest of the way.
Oh, they get, hey, I'm Dirk in that fight, but it's a tank tray. Can Wayne State get the touches and have the sustain needed, or is this going to another map?
Oh, we see Gihen. The cleanse is going to get burned up. The Reaper able to get to the back line, takes down 2 of them. Wraith form across the site. CSUD's able to flip it back in a heartbeat, and now Wayne State, they're going to be the ones with no ultimates, at least for the moment. And CSUD may have just forced round 3 with a big theft.
Yeah, it's like, do you even have a touch? You're also going to be facing Death Blossom and a possible Orbital Ray. It's looking rough for Wayne State, but if they can get a touch, they might have a chance. They do, but they've lost Dryer Robin, who had the Tactical Visor.
Yeah, I think that may just be it for this round. Then a small mistake here, a small mistake there. And CSUD Crimson making Wayne State pay as they force round 3 here on Samoa.
Score 1-0.
question for me is Wayne State going to continue this, in my opinion, absurdity of playing the Roadhog? It worked out, but as soon as you make swaps to deal with it, it's just not that reliable. It looks like, as you know, currently loaded up into this final round on, I believe it's City Center. They still are on the Roadhog, which I find a little baffling. But I mean, hey, you live or die by the pokes, so I guess they really want to make this Roadhog work. Which, I mean, again, that was still 99.99. But again, as I mentioned, I feel like CSU made the right swaps.
And the Roadhog, yeah, it worked early on. They did actually find a few picks, but like you said, once it stops working and it becomes almost more like cheesy than strategically sound. So if you're not finding the hook, if you're not landing those one-shots, you can feel very out of place very quickly and very isolated, especially with some of that damage that's going through. And speaking of DPS, Gihan on the Cassidy, been one of the lone bright spots for Wayne State, even in that round that they just lost. But it looks like CSUD has found the response, but the Cassidy just trying to kill everybody.
Yeah, can they get the... Okay, I was going to say, can they get the kill on Chocolate Crispy before they get the form back? And they are, so that's going to be the first point cap for Wayne State. And that's how they have to continue to win these fights if they're going to play this Roadhog comp, is just everyone taking different angles, different spots, different directions to keep CSU having to look in all these different directions and being able to find kills that way.
Yeah, 80% to the Deadeye, not a bad way to start the round off either for Gian. Basically going to have it online for this first fight, so they can even go for the early Deadeye, buy themselves 15 to 23% if things go well. So Wayne State in a very good spot to open us up, but obviously CSUD, we saw last round, was a shining example. If they go down early, that does not mean that they are going to be down and out. The Deadeye trying to catch the Reaper just out of Wraith form, trying to sneak around the corner. Cleanse buys them that extra second. So the Deadeye goes for naught, and now the kills starting to get traded back and forth. Nice hook.
And Wayne State looks like they are starting to take control. Still a few players available. Ravenous Vortex forces out that cooldown, but it does not matter. Wayne State is able to find those picks once again, clean up this fight, and put themselves in a pretty good spot, 50% and counting. And they haven't had to really use anything. I mean, they did I don't know. It just feels like they still have so much in their arsenal. They do have Dre Robin on the Venture. I don't know.
Well, they're finding, luckily they're finding a lot of hooks now. That is 3 kills in a row where somebody got absolutely kidnapped mid-air. And this Roadhog for Hey I'm Dirk and Wayne State, this is exactly the value they were hoping to get. And even setting up on the street here with the whole hog, this could be a lot of damage that goes through. See if this Ramatra is able to survive with the Annihilation. Chubb's gonna pop the ulti. Cleanse gets burned out early, and the Kiriko gets run down. CSUD Crimson pulling the trigger with authority. The only thing is they've got to deal with this pesky backline. The Roadhog ultimate gets invested, but I'm not sure how much value it's actually gonna be able to find with the Annihilation.
In the end, they do get it all the way up to like 97%. So I feel like if you're Wayne College, you are totally okay with that. You got CSU to burn 2 ultimates and you only burned 1. You're still gonna have to deal with, 3 big time ultimates. So Wayne State, I'd be looking to, try and draw out as many of these ultimates as possible and then look to re-engage in the next fight with your full war chest. Because Ray, Kitsune Rush, Death Blossom, those are all game changing.
Another hook onto Chubb, and the DPS is taken down, and now it's going to be high tide, and we're going to see the Deadeye and Kitsune. The Death Blossom getting shut down as well. That's got to be it for Wayne State. Surely this is going to be the perfect fight for them, but the Cassidy gets isolated in the second effort, and now the Orbital Ray keeping everybody alive, but they delete the Ramatra, and a disgusting hook onto the Kiriko means Wayne State, I think they should be able to find the capture here. And now it's going to be a desperate mad dash by CSUD to save the map.
They still have a lot of pressure on a lot of these players. XTLOL going down. Wayne State in overtime needs to find these picks and clean this up. They can't keep letting the stall happen.
Yeah, Robin has the ultimate in the back pocket. Dirk is getting relatively close with some damage, and yet again, the CSUD Venture just not alive to see the rest of the fight through. And now it's going to be a 5v4 again. Gihan's getting chunked down low. Robin's able to pop the ultimate and get away. The Reaper trying to get their pound of flesh in the back line. The Death Blossom still pretty far away. Another hook from the Hog. Wayne State and CSUD are fist fighting for it all.
Yeah, they are still facing down to Annihilation. The whole Hog's now going to come out, which pushes him away, keeps it out of the effective range, and gets the Annihilation off of the board. That was the right ult at the right time for the side of Wayne State, but it's not over yet.
Hook does not connect onto Chubb. They finally get their revenge on the Roadhog. And CSUD Crimson, they're going to try to take this one full distance. Ultimate's favoring them ever so slightly as well. Dirk looks like they're going to stay on the Roadhog, see this one all the way through. And who's going to be able to find that key pick to start the fight to really just turn this game? It might just be one pick that wins it.
Still going to have 2 fights for Wayne State to try and get this map back in their favor. Go up 1-0 in the series. Gotta play this patient. They got ults coming online. So does CSU.
Wow, a quick pick back and forth. No Kiriko and no Reaper. So those are 2 big ultimates now no longer available. Deadeye is going to zone everybody off, and it makes it a split fight for CSUD Crimson. That is the last thing they wanted to see. Revenant going airborne to take down Punisher and Wayne State. Finally able to break through, and they will take map 1. Not for a lack of effort out of CSUD Crimson, though. They went down swinging.
I think there's a great opening gambit from both of these teams. I mean, the fact that Wayne State was able to win a map with the Roadhog, like, to me, it's like, no matter how good you are on Roadhog, to me, you're just making it harder on yourself, and they still were able to, you know, come through and get a map win on it. So that tells me a lot about, you know, if they get on other compositions that play a similar play style as Roadhog, just not Roadhog, that I think they're going to be very well equipped. And we'll have to see, because I think CSU definitely had their moments as well. You know, maybe take this to a map where their Amacho plays a little bit, kind of similar to how the A&M Maroon map went. Maybe, you know, you give yourself a little bit more space, give yourself a little bit more poke, and, you know, maybe it changes. But again, as I mentioned, Wayne State was kind of thriving in that poke, so maybe you got to go to a map that's extremely close quarters, not allowed to take a lot of angles, and you just want to brawl with them.
And listen, the Roadhog had very high highs, and then it had low lows, which is classic Roadhog. It's, I hooked Venture, I think 6 lives in a row to start a fight, literally making them play 5v4 4 or 5 times in a row. Lands a clutch hook onto the Kiriko, landed a hook onto the Reaper at the end, but then there were also 4 or 5 deaths where you're just sitting there trying to overheal in front of 4 players because you used your kit, didn't land your hook, and then no one else is really there to help you. So definitely a confidence pick, and when you see a tank lock that in, no questions asked, and just play as aggressive as they did, at least gives you confidence that, listen, regardless of what style we go to play, my tank is going to be there with us. They are going to hold down that front line, and I will be curious to see if we do see a more brawly kind of style. And because we said too, when you get the lower divisions, it's not necessarily like it's this map, we're playing these 5 heroes.
Still plenty of series left to be played, and we do know that, you know, the map's going to shift into the pick for the side of CSU, so they at least have that in their hands. And obviously, I don't know how much these teams have or have not played against each other. I mean, given that the lower divisions tend to be a lot bigger and have a lot more teams in it, it's hard for me. Like in Division 1, I'm like, oh, these teams play each other a lot, they kind of know what they like to do. This one's, it's hard to believe. So, you know, that map 1 gives a lot of scouting on both sides, so then you can go for more well-informed bans going forward.
Yeah, that could take a lot of it too, because you can think, okay, we've scouted, we've maybe seen a VOD or two, because obviously if a lot of the games aren't being streamed, even though you can find some info on teams, you're not going to have this Rolodex of they like these maps during this time of a series, they play these picks, they do this in tier 2. There's just a lot less info out there, so it is a lot harder to kind of scout these bands and at least try to pre-fire certain maps that you might want to go to in the series. But CSUD right now, they definitely showed, I mean, you could argue 2 to 3 kills decided the difference on that map. If they draw first blood in that last fight or something like that, if the Reaper is able to get off the Death Blossom, that game could go entirely different. So I don't think they have to overthink too many things, but they definitely should take some consideration with looking at the bans and the maps here.
And again, Wayne coming out with the poke, looking very good. A lot of their players, again, when you're playing a poke comp like that, it just relies heavily on just the skill of your players being able to win 1v1s or catch someone out. For CSU, they're playing a composition that's more thrives on positioning, staying together, getting your team in a good position. So I think for them, the path to victory to me is if, that's a big if we're going to continue to see this poke composition, is I'd be looking to play if you're gonna keep playing the brawl, but give yourself some sort of speed, like play like a Lucio or play like a Juno, and I'd be looking to aggress on some of these. Whether it's the Cassidy, it was Soldier at one point, Sojourn. I'd be looking to get on top of these players that don't have as much mobility as say like a Tracer or a Genji.
And especially after you win, if you win a big map one in the case of Wayne State, if you can walk out with map two with some confidence picks and you can just diffy somebody for the first 5 minutes, you can, I don't want to say mentally check them out, but you can basically lock up map two sooner than you think, because then the other team's thinking, okay, we fought them to the best of our ability, lost map one, and now they are just slamming us here on map two. And it feels like all the good work that we did isn't really there anymore. And now we really don't know what we want to do moving forward in the rest of the series. So obviously a big game for CSUD looking to tie up the series, just like we saw in the last series too. Cumberland and A&M, they go back and forth, and Cumberland eventually says, listen, we've got that little edge on you guys. We've got the bands, the map scouted a little better. We're going to execute when we need to. And that little difference is all that you need to win a series like this.
All right, folks, bear with us as we are waiting for that map pick and bans coming in from these teams. As we do have the map now coming in, Kings Row is going to be the map of choice, which I do think it's a map where, yes, there's angles you can take. Every map has its angles you can take, but all things considered, it's not a super poke-oriented style map. So I think that definitely bodes itself pretty well for the side of CSUDH. And, it's Kings Row. It's a classic.
It's Kings Row. So, right, teams might favor it or prefer it, but everybody has played 10,000 matches of this map. They know exactly kind of what to expect. You're going to see the Orisa, the Ramatra. You see the occasional Reinhardt if somebody's feeling themselves and really thinks the pick's going to work there. So I don't think we're going to see anything, even though it's Division 6, I don't think we're going to see anything too out of pocket, just because the way the map is structured. It, like you said, it's hard to poke when there's buildings all in front of you, especially in the first part of the map. It's really just hard to get a lot of poke off unless you're on disgusting off angles on some of that high ground. So maybe we will see some of the Ashe. Maybe we'll see more of the Cassidy. I wouldn't mind seeing the Sojourn either. Nice and easy to play, but we are going to see the Orisa banned out for CSUD, and then Wayne State putting some respect on the Reaper from last game.
I mean, to me, are they going to keep playing the Hog if that's the case? They're like, all right, we still want to play the Hog. Let's get rid of what we feel is our biggest counter. The one thing I will say is if they are going to play the Hog going forward, Ana was banned in map number 1. Maybe that makes a little bit more sense given the amount of Hog they're wanting to play. So that's one thing you're going to have to worry about is Ana's, even bigger counter to Hog, in my opinion, than say like a Reaper. The anti-nade just disrupts everything Hog is trying to do. So I think that's on the board, but no Orisas, no Reapers, which is interesting because I think Orisa also does a pretty good job at dealing with Roadhogs. So I'm surprised they were so willing to want to get rid of that. But we also did see the Orisa come out for Wayne State on the first map, and it did have great success.
Yeah, I was going to say Orisa basically, I mean, unless you land a god timing hook between the Fortify and the Spin, Orisa is in a 1v1 isolation, slams Roadhog basically every time, unless, like I said, the Roadhog has the best hands you've ever seen and could possibly outskill in the overheal, but definitely a solid ban for Kings Row. Obviously, it's just a big meatball that can lock down the front line. Terra Surge can find a lot of value in parts of Kings Row as well, so definitely bans that make sense, especially given that Wayne State take the Reaper away from XDLOL. They had a great time on it when they got that. I think they swapped onto it maybe later in the round, but they went crazy on it, and they were definitely a problem.
Alrighty, folks. For CSU, in my opinion, when we're in a 1st to 3 like we are, map number 2 when you're down 1-0 is crucial to be able to win. I say it time and time again. Reverse sweeps are just so hard. So I think this map is almost a must-win for the side of CSU in their hopes to avoid the losers bracket and keep moving on through the winner's side. Good thing is neither of these teams go home with a loss. There's, the losers bracket, obviously.
Ready for battle.
I think we might have lost Jobin there for a minute. Okay, so sorry about that, folks.
I one-click muted myself by accident. Just
Oh,
realized that. We're good. Perfect, perfect, perfect. I was gonna say Wayne State and Seaside. This should be very, very explosive. And given that both of these teams, I mean, they were fist fighting all of map one, and there was no doubt about it. They were content to swing until there was one player left standing. And now we're going to see XD scooping up the Bastion. So again, just defense, lockdown, DPS, and I do love to see me some Widow early on King's Row.
it's always nice, especially if you can catch someone, in a interesting position. Interestingly enough, the Mauga coming out, but I do think CSU is playing the right tank to counter the Mauga, the Zarya. The Mauga feeds off being able to get those burns and those crits, and the Zarya just cleanses it. And then having this Bastion as well just throws so much damage down onto the face of that Mauga.
Ooh, early lamp burned out. I saw some low health bars there for the side of Wayne State, but luckily all able to walk away unharmed relatively. The lamp eventually will get taken down, and the Hanzo, not necessarily where you want to be playing in the front door in front of all that Bastion damage, but XD will happily take the free kill, and that means Wayne State, they're going to be forced to go for a reset.
Still not much charge gained for the side of Choco Crispy. That's something you definitely got to look to change, but I mean, not much you could do, especially when they're playing, hit scans. Like, it's hard to force them to go after you like that, but XC's just gonna keep getting picks.
Yeah, we did see Gihen do a great job of just kind of flanking into the side hall and finds a few picks, but ultimately, CSUD doing a little bit too much work there. Wayne State not really able to find the penetration they're looking for, and they are gonna get sent back to the door yet again.
And the other great part is the Ana that Xerneas is playing to counter, I'm assuming what they thought was going to be Roadhog, also works incredibly into a Mauga. As I mentioned, they thrive on keeping their HP up, and the Anti just wipes that away. Lots of ultimates coming online for both of these teams, so that it's going to matter who's gonna get aggressive and look to use this quickly.
Well, the Ana gets taken down immediately. The Lamp and the Graviton both get burned up in the process. And Wayne State, talk about execution. They execute CSUD where they stand. Only 2 players left alive, and this Mauga out for a little bit more blood, looking to run down the last 2 remaining players. Chubb's going to have to head for the hills underground, but this Dirk still just going to give chase, stall that out as long as possible. But Wayne State, they've got the space, and they take the point.
Big shout outs to Gihen for being able to get that pick onto Xerneas early in that fight, because they had the grab and the Bastion ult comboed. If you would have been able to throw a nade into that, I think that fight might have been over then and there. Another cage comes out.
Everyone to get locked down. The Lamp gets burned up. Gihen and XD, they both trade one to get the fight going, and now Bob has entered the fray. Choco getting very low. Yeah, I was going to say there's no way that Zarya is surviving. They had no chance at all, and that means Wayne State, they can just continue the front push. The Tracer damage going through onto XD, Pulse Bomb ready and waiting, just not deciding to pull the trigger on it yet. But XD, again, that's the beauty of the Bastion. You can just post up and lock down the street.
It did cost you 3 of the ultimates. They've only had 1 person on cart, so they haven't gained a whole lot of distance. But their players coming back, and they're going to have 2 ultimates online to continue to push. You have to hope that Drya Robin comes through with a big Pulse Bomb, or else Wayne State is in a pickle here with these 2 big ultimates for CSU.
Uh-oh, that is the opposite of a good Pulse Bomb. That is a sleepy Tracer that gets one-shot by the grenade thereafter. And now the Kitsune rush out of CSUD, realizing that we've got to try to make this fight up. The Lamp going to get taken down yet again. Choco trying to rip up everybody in that Wayne State backline. This Zarya putting a ton of damage out, but it's still going to be the Mauga from Wayne State trying to see if they can turn the fight through. Cleanse will get burned up in the process, and so will XD. The Bastion not able to survive the second wave, but a big anti onto the Mauga.
Yeah, the fact that they got Gihen down on the Ashe allows them to not have to worry about the spam damage coming in from the Ashe, and they get Revenant. So that's a support down. Feels like Wayne State has to look to reset, but they're still going to look to push aggressively, and it does force out the Tectonic Shocks. So maybe that's just the big win for you, is forcing out that ultimate as well as the Nano. Oh
Yeah.
man, CSU to me panicked a little bit there and got those 2 ultimates forced out of them.
Yeah, definitely feel like they would have been okay with just the one, especially the Tectonic Shock. I mean, there's just really nowhere you can go, especially in these side streets. It literally covers the entire road, so Wayne State, if the fight doesn't look perfect, they've got no choice but to back up anyways. But from the CSUD side, Chubb might say, listen, I'm going to build that ultimate back up. We won the fight. We stalled them out for another 30, 40 seconds. But now you're going to send Bob and Dynamite to the back line, and you instantly get the one shot on the Venture. That is how you make a play from Wayne State. The Lamp's going to keep the Tracer alive for the moment, and they're going to scoop up a few more kills.
And that's going to wrap up this the second point for the side of Wayne State. And it only cost them their Bob, so that's gotta be feeling good. And now I think with this Mauga playing into the Zarya, I thought, it might struggle a bit, but they just haven't been able to lay down as much damage as they could. Like, it feels like they get the Mauga low, but like the burst deals from Wayne State is coming through pretty big with the BAP and the Fury. Plus they have not only Suzu, but a Lamp.
Yeah, and they're going to use the cage to lock down the Zarya. Choco just has nowhere to go and no help to receive there. And now the cage and the zoning off from the rest of the squad, they're able to take down XD in the process. 2:20 left on the clock. CSUD, they've got some big ultimates to make a stand here, but they are going to be up against it as Wayne State is going to be putting the pressure on back here.
As the Bastion from XD is going to look to try and force positioning from Hamdirk, which he does get him to back up at the Consider Rush as well.
That is the combination of a lifetime from CSUD. They're able to find a few kills, luckily. I was going to say, with all that util that they landed, if they weren't able to find more than one kill, would have been historic. But the fight does eventually go their way. The ultimate combo gets done exactly what they were looking for. The only thing is, Wayne State's ultimate's now looking rather strong for the next go.
I was going to say, the one thing Wayne State did do very well was they just realized they were in a fight that they probably weren't going to win. Didn't really commit anything. There's Pulse, there's Bob, hoping to bring this cart through to the finish line.
Yeah, Blade's still sitting on Kitsune. Revenant has the window on and ready as well. And now we're going to see Xerneas getting taken out. Gihen's taken down a few courtesy of Bob. And I do believe after one more player gets swatted out here, that Venture being pesky in the mud, that's going to be Wayne State. 1:10 on the clock, and they do finish Kings Row.
And the threshold of finishing with over a minute on the clock is actually a big deal. So if they even drain this to overtime, regardless if CSU is able to finish the map, they will get the only attack for the extra round. So if they, if CSU ends up capping all three, they put themselves in a position where it's a win or a draw. They would not be able to lose in that situation. So CSU, given that, they have to realize that they need to finish with time on the clock, and they have to keep that in their head the entire time as they're looking to attack here. Like, yeah, they could afford to lose time here or there, but when they get to the third point, they got to make sure they give themselves, sufficient amount of time to finish with at least 1 second on the clock.
Yeah, Wayne State, you are one round away from possibly getting a 2-0 lead in the series and taking full control of the series, to be frank. CSUD would have a lot of questions to answer, and they'd have a lot to figure out, especially considering the bans, the picks, now that you go later in the series, things that you thought were going to be good maybe are falling flat on their face, and that can cause a lot of questions, and questions is the last thing you need in Game 3 of the playoffs. But you've got a chance now at the offense to see what you can cook up. Chubb getting to stick on to the Venture. Obviously mixed results so far. They've either had incredible pop-off plays or they've been getting caught out quite a bit. So they just got to try to walk that line a little bit more carefully, I think.
CSU rolling out on the Sigma. Wow, I did not have Sigma v Sigma on Kings Row on my bingo card of things I expected, but this is Division 6 Overwatch, folks, and I am loving it. I actually like the defensive position here, not only to play the Sig, but to have the Symmetra to be able to TP everyone around if necessary, to put yourself in better spots.
Yeah, there's Choco. The point of the Winston is to dive in the back line, but luckily for the Symmetra, you can just TP out of there, no problem. And now you're going to force the cleanse, the lamp getting burned up, so this Winston will have to fall back for the moment, but luckily Crispy Kiriko in the back pocket, able to heal up all good. It looks like we're going to go for a bit of a reset. That is the wrong teleport. You are at the wrong house. Tried to kick in the front door. They were met with full resistance.
Halloween was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, there was no trick-or-treaters there. That was all pain and anguish. And eventually Gian is going to be the one to finally get a kill in this fight. And those CSUD health bars, they are blinking.
Yeah, despite, you know, the TP that didn't go as planned, given that the Venture was able to use their dig effectively, to still be able to end up winning that fight and still be able to push forward and apply pressure like this. Wayne State is playing to their win conditions extremely well. When you're playing this composition, you're wanting, generally speaking, you use a TP every now and then, but generally you're trying to keep your space, find your picks.
Yeah, Wayne State, the longer they can hold off this first fight, the better and better it gets for him. Behan, no coach gun online. The supports are going to have to come in clutch, and clutch they come. That lamp plus the healing combo, they're able to save the Ashe from certain demise. And now the Winston in a bit of a rough spot, luckily able to survive for the side of Crimson. But again, each time they take all this damage, even if they don't get killed, when you get chunked down to 10% HP, that effectively forces the same reset. But now the DPS is able to win a 1v1. This might be the time to go.
Yeah, they have the wall as well. Very well placed to take advantage of it on this point. Flux does not find anything either. They need picks, and Xerneas is the best one they could have asked for.
I think he might be dead. He wins that against XD. I thought for sure XD had him dead to rights. He was so low on HP. But I guess the combo from the Sigma was a little bit too strong there. And Wayne State digs in their heals. They do not say die. And despite the fact that Orbital Primal gets used out of Crimson, Wayne State does not blink.
That Bob is still there to help protect that tectonic shocks and Kitsune. This is a lot of ultimates being used by CSU to make sure they get this point. I understand, but man, what a commitment. But it does feel like they might have this wrapped up now.
Yeah, I think that should be enough. Wayne State, unless they wanted to go for a seriously psychopathic Kitsune rush, which I do not recommend. They will have to just give the point over. They know, obviously, if they can hold this defense even remotely good, they should have that advantage going into overtime. So, CSUD Crimson, now you can start the hybrid portion, the push portion, and let's see exactly if they can keep up some of that consistent work that we know they can do. They just can't win these 2 to 3 fights in a row that we've been seeing with Wayne State do.
Yeah, the one thing they are facing, as I mentioned, time is a factor for them to be able to win this map. So they have to make sure they get the second point relatively quickly, and that's not helping, is Punisher getting punished by that window hypersphere combo.
Yeah, Dirk is playing an amazing game on the Sigma so far. 2 solo kills onto XD earlier, then obviously helping just lock down the front line, helping take Crispy out of the action. And even now, Wayne State, once you get a few of these kills, you can start to really force Crimson back to that spawn. And I think they had about 3 minutes and 20 seconds with the time bonus. And now you can see 4 kills later, and they've lost almost a full minute.
Yeah, the time loss is not on deaf ears. They have to get things going right now. This next fight almost feels like a must win, and they do get Behan early, so this is a great opening. They just gotta follow through.
Dirk does have the Graviton. That is the 4th time that Dirk has killed XD. 3 of the times I'm pretty sure they were one-on-one solo fights, so wherever the soldier is positioning, they've got to find a better place to go. And now we see the Symmetra getting active from Robin, and despite the fact that CSUD does take a victim in their wake, that's a team kill for Wayne State, and they are in full control of map 2.
Yeah, you did lose some players, so because of the spawn differential, you have to back up just a smidge. You might just have to play at this bookstore corner instead of the archways. I say that, but they did not get together fast enough and start pushing the fact that they were down players, so I definitely think that's a missed opportunity for the side of CSU.
Oh, this could be a sketchy 1v1 for the Ashe. Yeah, Venture wins those all day, especially with the first shot not landing. And now Chubb trying to get to the ultimate online, but the Graviton Flux is able to take down and split the fight. And I thought the Venture was on a hero play from Chubb, but it was merely detachment from the rest of the team, and the rest of the team gets absolutely mollywopped on the backside of the fight.
Wow, hey, I'm Dirk coming through in a strong way with that Gravitic Flux. Dueling Kitsune rushes coming up in this next fight. Again, there's just not a lot in the arsenal. I do think you could use this window from Reviant to try and force back these players from Wayne.
Oh, they caught up the Sigma. No front line for Wayne State. Now CSUD Crimson. This is literally the best moment you'll ever have to try to go win a fight. They're able to run Robin down, and even though they find a few of these kills, that cart had literally been in the first archway. So Wayne State, they've got more than enough time to stop this from hitting the checkpoint.
They kept a hold of a lot of their ultimates. They can re-engage with Window and Kitsune Rush. it feels like they just have all the tools necessary. CSU, I mean, you have a primal, but unless you find a big pick, it's mostly just stall.
Yeah, and Bob can be a difference maker in a thin alleyway like this. The Dynamite's going to land onto a few, and now you've got no Lucio. There's not even the attempt at getting a pulse bomb in the later stages of the fight, and now Bob and Robin taking everybody down one by one for Wayne State. Dirk shooting some hoops with the rock, trying to block his own shot there at the rim, and Wayne State couldn't script it much more clearly for a Game 2 win from him.
Yeah, second map was not nearly as close as that first one. Just, it felt like Wayne State just zigged every time CSU zagged. They had the answers for most of the time. The Malga, you know, you felt like, oh, you know, the Zarya, it's going to play good. The Bastion, but they just played it so well. The burst heals they played to keep the Malga up despite the Zarya being able to cleanse the team of that healing and such. It was very well played. And then coming out on the Sigma on the offense and just enabling their poke even stronger. I just think Wayne State knows who they are, and they're playing their comps and their win conditions extremely well. And that's the big reason why they're up 2-0 and why that second map looked way more dominant than map number 1.
Yeah, even though they went to the mirror mode, Sigma can be one of the most frustrating heroes to play against in the game because you think you have him dead to rights sometimes, you get knocked down, you get comboed with the rock, he shields for his DPS, and then the second you think you've maybe got a good fight, you've got a good angle, you get sent up into the moon, you get sent back down for a double kill that basically put the nail in the coffin for him. So Wayne State, great adjustments, great team play all around, and if they could even carry half of that teamwork into Game 3, we may be out of here early tonight.
All right, folks, we are going to take a quick break and allow CSU a little bit of time to recoup and figure out what their plan is going forward in this series. 2-0 for Wayne State. Let's see if they can bring it home, or do we start seeing a comeback from the side of CSU? I'll be right back, folks.
frozen over like I am. Well, I know you know that life is colder, colder when I'm older, older than I am. And I know you know that I have lost composure, but I'll hold you closer while I can. I never told you that I'm slightly broken, that I might lose focus when I am. I know you know that life is colder, colder when you're frozen over like I am.
And welcome back, everybody, as we potentially cap off our Friday night playoff action in the NECC. Jobin and Ray, and we've got Wayne State with a 2-game lead right now, looking dominant on Kings Row, and they're looking to close out the show and get this playoff win under their belt.
Yeah, CSU, I mean, worst case, they're still the losers bracket, but they got to win the next 3 maps in a row to be able to do that. But before we get into the series, I want to talk to you guys about Wenzel's Farm. Their meat sticks are made in Wisconsin. They are delicious. I eat them every single day. They have lots of different flavors. The ones I eat the most, I have their pepper jack and their cheddar flavors, but they got so many other flavors. Goes great with gaming. They've been around since 1977. They know what they're doing in the meat stick game. Super high quality. It's actually 14 total flavors, and yeah, they're just great. Make sure you guys get some. They really, especially like when you're gaming a lot, man. Like you're not trying to get up and move around a lot. Just have some meat sticks next to you. Get that snack on.
I know a lot of you gamers playing for 12 hours straight need some protein, so make sure you get some of those meat sticks and keep yourself healthy while you're trying to hit either Celestial and Rivals, SSL, whatever rank you're going for. Make sure you stay locked in, stay healthy while you're doing it. And both of these teams, CSUD, I've got a lot of questions because they have found some success in some fights. Map 2, obviously, not really that much positive to take away from. They landed a few nice wombo combos, but that took about 5 or 6 minutes for them to really get set up. So what are they thinking here? The bans in the map going to come through momentarily. And I mean, again, you do have a double elimination, so your season isn't on the line necessarily, but in a lot of ways it kind of is, because if you go to the losers bracket, maybe you play another good team that had a bad day, and all of a sudden you're staring down the barrel of another really, really tough matchup. So it is going to be, I believe that said Suravasa, took my eyes off the screen. It is going to be Suravasa and CSUD. They are going to ban the Roadhog and Venture, which is funny because the Roadhog was owning the Venture all day long.
Having some flashbacks of map number 1 with that Roadhog. And that's not hugely shocking. I will be curious to see. I mean, the Malga should work fine on a map like this if they want to continue doing that. So that's my guess for what we're going to see coming out from Wayne State. But I feel like CSU, you got to shake it up somehow. You got to find some way back in. If you're expecting the Malga, I probably would go full into looking to stop that composition. But it looks like for Wayne State, they are looking like they're going to play the Junker Queen currently. For CSU, they have themselves the Zarya Comploto. We saw them play that on Kings Row. I like the adaptation of bringing the Reaper back in. It goes really well with the Zarya composition. And if you were playing a Malga, it also puts a lot of pressure onto that Malga because just a lot of damage. For Wayne State, interesting, the Wu Yang Lucio. I don't think it's necessarily a bad support combo. It's just a very squishy support combo. So you just have to be very weary. And if you're the 2 supports, you've got to play to your exits, play your positioning, because you guys can go down very quickly.
And obviously on the screen now, just got the Discord update from Chippy, but Starboy subbing in for Xerneas in the support slot. So CSUD, instead of maybe a map or a possible hero switch, they're going to go straight up. We're bringing in a 6-player. We're going to see if we can shake it up, maybe get us a little bit more value. Maybe we just like the comp that we can bring with it. Unfortunately, no matter whether it's Ashe, Cassidy, or now the Genji, Gihen is good for a few to start what feels like every single fight.
Yeah, I will say that's not that I don't expect them to be able to be extremely flexible, but if I was playing this team, right, they've been playing Ashe, Cassidy, the entire team. The last hero I'd expect them to whip out is just a random Genji and be dominating with us. Look at them just thinking like 1 health forever. They finally
I was
get
about to
healed.
say, I was staring at his health bar waiting for it to move and it didn't. I was like, bro, is no one gonna find this guy? But luckily gets away, gets back to the support, and now Starboy's getting taken out by a disruption, and that certainly feels a little bad. And Wayne State up to their antics. They are already locked in on point A, 55% and counting. And yep, we talked about, hey, this guy's an Ashe player, he's a Cassidy player. Watch this.
And it's giving me very much so like K from the previous series vibes. Plays a lot of hit scan, but would pull out the Tracer in certain situations. This time it's the Genji for Gihen. And Dryer Robin, we saw the Sojourn on map number 1. It's coming through in a strong way on this map. And I like the positioning they played. Knew they needed to keep their distance from the Reaper and still got to the health pack just in time.
Nice pullback on the knife onto Crispy. We do see a lot of the ultimates for Wayne State starting to get ready and cooked up CSUD in a similar boat, but they're just getting destroyed by the Queen. And now Gihen, Dryer, and Dirk, 5 kills, no ultimates invested. Just a weird way to end the first point. CSUD just walks up and dies, doesn't ult anything. Wayne State just doesn't need to ult anything. They just take everybody out for free. And they just, point A goes down like that.
It was interesting because the Reaper was up top. Above the point, could have dropped down at any point. I'm surprised that they didn't. And they're able to win that without committing a single ult. There's the Rampage.
Yeah, that connected onto the entire team. The beat drop is going to be the potential saving grace, but the Lucio is getting hard targeted. And we talked about Dirk really showing off on the Sigma. The Junker Queen performance so far may be even better, which is a statement.
Oh, I agree. It feels like Wayne State, they've been playing well. Obviously, they've been, winning this series. They're up 2-0. This just feels like a whole other gear they took, and Dirk just looks like a whole different level with this aggression on the Junker Queen, and I love the juxtaposition they're on right now.
Oh, the Graviton is going to connect onto a few, but the beat drop, keeps everybody alive. That extra little bit of health, and then the overclock, and then the aftershock from Gihen to take down everybody else. These two DPS are doing aim training right now. They cannot be touched.
And they still kept this blade in their back pocket. They will have to just be cautious of a Kitsune rush, which, just makes things a little bit more difficult to get this blade online. But again, I'd just be being patient, wait for the Kitsune rush, and then you can just kite away from it and then re-engage with your blade.
Yeah, there's the Kitsune. They have to try to go for the engage now. They are going to land the knife. Dirk doing such a good job of just trying to isolate one of these supports every single fight, but this time maybe getting caught out. As I say that, though, the Dragon Blade from over the top, the aerial support from Gihen, and nobody can kill the Queen. Wayne State 5-0 again.
That's kind of how I felt. They're the desperate ones. They're probably going to be looking to use Kitsune early, hide away from it, outlast it. They did, and they re-engaged with their blade and the aggression coming in from Dirk on the Junker Queen. Really like that. Choco Crispy going to go over to the Ramattra, which is going to give you sustain. I think the Junker Queen, it's not great in the Zarya, and I don't think it's necessarily great in the Ramattra either, but I think the Zarya is definitely better, but they need more sustain, I suppose.
And a well-placed Rampage will unfortunately destroy all of that healing later on. And Wayne State, too, every fight that they have won with this massive edge, they have not used more than 2 ultimates at most in any of these fights. And even in this one, Gihen obviously used the blade a little earlier on. They just go 2 for 1 without really investing anything. They are simply W gaming.
And they're just cycling their ultimates so well. And look, they're coming up on 4 more, being able to win that in relatively dry fight style. XD does have the high Nuni of the beat to keep people up, but it just feels like nothing's been working this map for CSU. They gotta find a way in and opening something.
Yeah, they've got to find some sort of opening salvo. Speaking of, though, The Reaper simply does not get to play the game, and now the Ramattra, maybe in a little bit of a rough spot. The cleanse is going to come through. The Annihilation's not quite online, but it doesn't matter. The Boop and the Fist go flying. Wayne State able to answer back with Revenant, finding a kill with the ulti onto XD, but it looks like Crimson, I was going to say, even if they win this fight, which they desperately need to do, they are yet to capture the point.
The sound barrier is going to keep everyone alive just a little bit longer. Dirk should be able to come back soon with the Rampage, and they get Chubb.
That's the second time this Reaper again just not allowed to play the video game. 3-4 fights in a row now, and that might be the pick that cost him the game. It's going to be a desperation annihilation out of Choco. The beat drop follows up as well. Crimson, they are throwing everything into this fight. I'm wondering if Dirk even needs to use the Rampage.
No, they don't.
The answer is a resounding no. You are correct.
I'm like, the fact that they just kept up through, I thought maybe when the sound barrier went off, maybe you look to use it then, but they just put so much damage onto Choco Crispy that there was no need. I mean, you're going to get a touch from Chubb, but they just have so much work with the blades. Now going to find two.
Yeah, have fun with your death losses because you've got no teammates to share the wealth with. The Rampage will connect forces. The Wraith form, that is going to be, I believe, the last kill of the game. A team kill for Wayne State. And this series started off with fireworks, but it ended up just a one-sided beatdown.
Now, Wayne State comes into map 2 and 3 with statement wins and ends up winning this series 3-0, as we mentioned, despite a very close first map. Wayne State found their groove, and they just never looked back.
Yeah, I'm happy that Dirk got some love with the play of the game. You know, Tank's a little bit harder to get it sometimes, but they were... Obviously, you have to give a ton of credit to that Wayne State backline for keeping the Queen alive, but Dirk on the Sigma and the Queen, I think were just the two most influential picks that once they got in the zone on those, especially the Queen there on Saravasa, once they got rolling, it looked like a different player for them.
Congratulations to Wayne State as they move into the next round of the bracket, which I believe is the upper semifinals. And they just continue their winners bracket run. That's pretty much going to wrap things up for us tonight. Once again, like to thank all of our amazing sponsors, when that is Wenzel's and obviously Blue Light and Extron, thank you. Sorry, I was stuttering there for a second. Extron, you guys have been amazing sponsors, and thank all of our amazing staff, Chippy and Orange, running the production and observing behind the scenes. And thank you for joining me. As next week to keep an eye on, guys, we got Valorant on Monday, obviously Marvel Rivals Tuesday, Rocket League Wednesday, CS2 on Wednesday as well, and then League of Legends Thursday, and more Overwatch action Friday. All of these leagues are going into the playoffs, so you don't want to miss it.
Yeah, it's going to be a fantastic week of collegiate action. There is something for everybody here at the NECC. With that being said, go enjoy the rest of your weekends. Have a good one. Take care of each other. We'll see you back here on Monday to kick off and continue the playoff action here on NECC. Have a good one.